Chapter 113. Nanny Zhou had already known in advance that Yi Jiuge was coming and was waiting outside the house. As soon as she saw Yi Jiuge, she asked excitedly, "Miss Yi, you came so late. Is the antidote pill already refined?" Yi Jiuge took out the small jade bottle and shook it. "Thank God." Nanny Zhou's eyes moved involuntarily. Then she put her palms together and bowed to the sky. Then she bent her knees and was about to kneel to thank Yi Jiuge. "Nanny, what are you doing? Get up." Yi Jiuge quickly pulled Nanny Zhou up. "Eldest Miss Yi, you saved her ladyship's life. This old servant doesn't have anything to repay you. Let this old servant kowtow to you 3 times." Nanny Zhou was really grateful to Yi Jiuge. If she didn't do something, she wouldn't be able to express her excitement. "Nanny Zhou, in terms of age, you can be my grandmother. Isn't kneeling to me too much? Don't ever mention such words again. Otherwise, I won't dare to come here in the future." Yi Jiuge pretended to be angry. Nanny Zhou and Mother Qing were the same kind of people. They both treated their masters like their own daughters. No matter what they did, they would do it from the master's point of view. No matter how tired they were willing to endure it. Yi Jiuge respected such people. "Okay, just pretend that this old servant didn't say anything like that." Nanny Zhou could see that Yi Jiuge was sincere. She felt indescribably comfortable. She had been a servant all her life. Although others treated her with courtesy out of respect for noble consort no one had ever been like Yi Jiuge, comparing her to his grandmother. She felt like drinking a cup of hot tea in winter. Her heart was warm. No wonder everyone liked such a good girl. Nanny Zhou put her gratitude in the bottom of her heart and quickly brought Yi Jiuge into the house. Noble consort, she was walking around the house. She was so nervous that her palms were sweating. She had thought that it would take a lot of effort to cure this disease. She didn't expect that the final detoxification would start so soon. She was surprised and didn't know what to do. Hearing the sound of the door opening, she quickly sat back in the chair with a calm expression on her face. Yi Jiuge saw noble consort Xi's calm appearance and was very impressed. He bowed to her and said, "Jiuge greets your highness." "Jiuge, quickly sit." Noble consort, she called out with a faint smile. She had been taking Yi Jiuge's detoxification prescription all this time, and the rotten flesh on the right side of her face had completely scabbed over, turning into a huge black and red scar that looked like a mask. Although it still looked terrifying, it was much better than the oozing pus and rotting flesh from before. "Your Highness, are you ready?" Yi Jiuge sat in front of noble consort Xi. Although she had made countless preparations for what might happen during this detoxification process. However, they couldn't rule out some unexpected situations. Noble consort Xi nodded slowly. Previously, when Yi Jiuge said that the final detoxification would be as painful as death by 1,000 cuts, she wasn't afraid. Now that Yi Jiuge had found a way to relieve her pain, she was even less afraid. "Okay, then let's get ready," Yi Jiuge said straightforwardly. "Eldest Miss Yi, should we detoxify here or find another place?" Nanny Zhou asked in a low voice. If she wanted to change places, then she had to make early preparations. "After I feed the detoxification pill to your highness, I still need to use needles to help her detoxify. At that time, your highness may expel a lot of black toxins, so it's best to do it in the bathroom. This way, it would also be convenient to scrub. There is an independent bathing pool behind this small courtyard. Please wait for a moment, your highness and eldest Mississippi. This old servant will prepare it now," Nanny Zhou said immediately. "Okay." Noble consort Xi nodded. After Nanny Zhou quickly prepared clean towels, clothes, honey locust, and other things, she came to invite Yi Jiuge and noble consort Xi over. The bathing pool was steaming. Yi Jiuge stood on the soft couch beside the bathing pool and said to noble consort Xi, "Your highness, please take off your clothes and lie on it." She was going to do acupuncture later, and noble consort Xi definitely couldn't wear clothes. "Okay." Noble consort Xi took off her clothes. Nanny Zhou took out a white silk bathrobe and helped noble consort Xi change into it. She then untied her hair and loosely tied it behind her. After noble consort Xi was ready, Yi Jiuge took out a big jade bottle. What is this? Noble consort, she asked curiously. This contains the blue jade seaweed I got in the demonic beast forest. Eat this blue jade seaweed first. Yi Jioge opened the big jade bottle and poured out a ball of seaweed that emitted a blue light. This ball of blue jade seaweed was 1/2 gram, which was according to noble consort Xi's weight. Taking it before this detoxification pill could achieve the effect of anesthesia. Noble consort Xi swallowed the blue jade seaweed without hesitation. After eating it, she felt a cold feeling rising from her dantian. The blood in her limbs seemed to start to stagnate. She lay on the soft couch powerlessly. Seeing that the blue jade seaweed was effective, Yi Jioge handed the detoxification pill to her. When noble consort Xi took the detoxification pill, a complicated expression flashed across her face. As long as she took this pill, she would be able to expel the poison in her body and restore her appearance. The thing she had been thinking about for more than 10 years was right in front of her, but she was a little worried. She was afraid that the effect of the detoxification wasn't ideal. Her life would be ruined just like that, and it would probably be even more difficult than it was now. Your Highness, feel free to take it. I'm here, Yi Jioge said slowly. Yi Jioge didn't say anything to guarantee, nor did he make an expression that said you have to believe me, but noble consort Xi inexplicably felt at ease. Noble consort Xi pinched the dark green pill and put it into her mouth. She didn't know if it was the reflection of the candlelight or something else. Noble consort Xi's bright red nails suddenly flashed with a dark green light, but it quickly disappeared. Yi Jioge's heart jumped, and a message seemed to flash through his mind. But after thinking about it carefully, he couldn't think of what it was. He could only stare at noble consort Xi and observe her every move. After noble consort Xi swallowed the pill, she only felt that the illusory beauty detoxification pill dissolved in her mouth. It turned into a sweet warm current that entered her stomach and began to expel the remaining illusory beauty poison in her body. The detoxification process was like a small shovel eradicating the garbage stuck to her meridians. Although it was very painful, under the cold anesthetic effect of the blue jade seaweed, it was still bearable. Noble consort Xi could clearly feel the small shovel following her meridians to her fingertips. After the illusory beauty detoxification pill touched her fingertips, it suddenly exploded with a bang. It was like a spark falling into an oil barrel. The rolling heat spread wildly along her fingertips, and she couldn't help but scream in pain. At this time, noble consort Xi truly realized what the pain of 1,000 cuts that Yi Jioge mentioned felt like. Chapter 114. Yi Jioge looked at noble consort Xi's skin, which instantly turned as red as a cooked shrimp, and finally knew what the thought that had just flashed through his mind was. There was something wrong with noble consort Xi's nails. At this time, imperial concubine Xi's nails had already turned from bright red to a strange dark green color, but they still emitted a faint fishy smell. It was the unique smell of green toads. Needless to say, it must be the spirit doctor who gave imperial consort Xi the fake medicine. He made the green toad's poison into henna and painted it on noble consort Xi's fingernails. The green toad's poison and noble consort Xi's beauty illusion antidote were perfectly compatible. As long as noble consort Xi takes Huan Mei's antidote, the poison will immediately take effect. Because the green toad's poison was too small and it was mixed with the henna, even she had overlooked it. Yi Jioge opened his spiritual eye and observed noble consort Xi's body. The meridians in her body were all blocked by the green toad's poison. If she didn't clear it, the green toad's poison would break through her body and she would die. Your Highness, you endured it. Yi Jioge took out the thunder fire needle with a grave expression and used the fastest speed to insert it into noble consort Xi's body. Ever since she had unsealed the heart of the sealed tree of God to save Dongfang Ke, the thunder fire needle also had a sliver of life energy, and its effects were many times stronger than before. The red thunder fire needles with purple light fell on noble consort Xi's body like raindrops. Every time, the needles were accurately pricked into the acupoints, bringing out a little dark green blood bead. Noble consort Xi only felt the heat in her body increase as Yi Jioge's acupuncture technique increased. The pain in her body continued to increase. It was simply enough to drive someone crazy. Yi Jioga's face was dark, and his heart was burning with anxiety. The anesthetic effect of the blue jade seaweed didn't last long. If she couldn't force out the green toad's poison before then, noble consort, she wouldn't be able to hold on. In this situation, the blue jade seaweed couldn't play a role. Everything could only depend on noble consort Xi's will. Yi Jioga madly circulated the spiritual power in his body. The thunder fire needle in her hand flashed like a shadow, and in the blink of an eye, 81 needles fell on Imperial Consort Xi's body. Imperial Consort Xi's entire body was covered in dark green blood beads. She looked like a bloody person. The poisonous blood soaked the hem of Yi Jioga's dress, and the stench filled the bathroom. Nanny Zhou had been watching them nervously. She instinctively sensed that something was wrong with the situation. In particular, the Empress's expression was becoming more and more abnormal. She had never seen the Empress in such pain and confusion, as if she had already given up on living. Nanny Zhou's guess was right. Noble consort, she had already given up the will to live under the torture of pain. What was the point of persevering like this? She had failed to detoxify the poison, so she had to return to her previous days of being neither human nor ghost. If that was the case, then she might as well die. Nanny Zhou was shocked. She quickly knelt beside Imperial Consort Xi and shouted anxiously, "Your Highness, you must not give up." Noble consort, she shook her head unconsciously, as if saying that she could not hold on any longer. Nanny Zhou, think of a way to help the Empress hold on. Yi Jioga quickly ordered. She was so close to forcing the green toad's poison out of noble consort Xi's body. Nanny Zhou immediately raised her voice and shouted miserably, "Your Highness, have you forgotten how the Empress hurt you? How can you abandon me before you take revenge?" Noble consort, she was still shaking her head. She couldn't take revenge, so she could only let do it. Nanny Zhou's face turned pale. She hesitated for a moment and finally shouted with a trembling voice, "Your Highness, even if you don't do it for yourself, you have to avenge the little master. She was killed by the Empress before she grew up in your belly. If you go like this, how can you face the little master in the underworld?" What little master? Noble consort, she unconsciously turned her head in the direction of Nanny Zhou, as if she was asking something. "When the Imperial consort died, weren't you dizzy and nauseous and couldn't eat anything? Miss Yi said that you were pregnant. Later, the bleeding was not because of detoxification, but because the little master had a miscarriage." Nanny Zhou choked with sobs. "It's all because I'm useless. I didn't find out that you were pregnant and let the Empress hurt the little master." When noble consort she heard this, the veins on her palms bulged, and she suddenly grabbed the bed sheet under her. Her well-maintained long nails scraped against the bed, making a sharp sound. The longest nail even broke into two. It could be seen that she hated the Empress to the extreme. Yi Jioga seized the opportunity and used the thunder fire needle on the last few acupuncture points of noble consort Xi. Streams of dark green poisonous blood spurted out, quickly turning bright red. Finally succeeded. Yi Jioga's vision turned black and she almost fell to the ground. She quickly protected the bed frame and stabilized her body. She had used up too much spiritual power and had opened her spiritual eye for too long. She really couldn't hold on any longer. Your Highness, are you all right?" Nanny Zhou wanted to help the Empress wipe her body, but she didn't know where to start. She was afraid of touching the wounds on her body. "The Empress is fine. Help her wipe her body with hot water and give her 2 Peiyuan pills." Yi Jioga said weakly with her eyes closed. "Miss Yi, are you all right?" Only then did Nanny Zhou realize that something was wrong with Yi Jioga. "I'm fine. I'm just tired. Go and serve the Empress. I'll be fine after resting for a while." Yi Jioga used the last of her strength to walk to the side of the chair and sat down. Only then did she feel better. Nanny Zhou used 6 buckets of hot water to wash the dirt off noble consort Xi's body. After helping noble consort she put on a clean bathrobe, she quickly fed her 2 Peiyuan pills. Noble consort Xi's pale face regained a trace of color. Her long and thick eyelashes blinked and she slowly opened her eyes. "Your Highness, how do you feel?" Seeing that noble consort she had woken up, Nanny Zhou's heart finally calmed down. You just said that this consort was pregnant before. What's going on? Noble consort Xi's gaze was like a sharp sword as she stared at Nanny Zhou. Nanny Zhou's face paled, as if someone had poured a bucket of cold water on her head. She looked at noble consort Xi's slightly red eyes and said with trembling lips, "When the imperial consort passed away, you felt nauseous and vomited because you were pregnant." Before Nanny Zhou could finish speaking, noble consort Xi suddenly sat up straight and raised her hand to slap Nanny Zhou. There was a loud smack. Nanny Zhou's wrinkled face was slapped to the side. Nanny Zhou, who was slapped, was fine, but noble consort Xi, who hit her, fell heavily on the bed. She was like a fish that had jumped onto the shore. After its death struggle, there was only pain left. "Your Highness, you can hit me and scold me, but don't hold it in." Nanny Zhou knelt beside noble consort Xi's bed and cried. Chapter 115. My child, my child. Imperial consort Xi's face was covered in tears. Her throat was choking with pain, and her entire body was trembling. She felt like her heart was being stabbed by a knife. It was thousands of times more painful than being poisoned. The child that she had missed so much was in her womb, but she had never discovered it. The child had disappeared from this world without a trace. There was no name, no memorial tablet, no one even shed tears for him, no one was grieving for him, no one was grieving for him. She had only discovered it 16 years later. How could she face her child in the underworld in the future? Nanny Zhou was sobbing at the side, and her sadness filled the entire bathroom. Yi Jiuge couldn't help but sigh. She didn't know how to comfort the master and servant. She glanced around the bathroom and found that Nanny Zhou had prepared a mirror in the corner. She probably wanted to show it to Imperial consort Xi after the detoxification was over. The mirror was very exquisite. The back was made of red sandalwood with lotus flowers and branches carved on it. The surface of the mirror was polished from crystal. It was so bright that it could reflect one's reflection. Yi Jiuge picked up the crystal mirror and came in front of Imperial consort Xi. He said softly, "Your Highness, you can't make up for the past anymore. You can only look forward. Fortunately, no matter what you want to do now, you have the ability to do it." After saying that, he placed the mirror in front of Imperial consort Xi. Imperial consort Xi looked up and saw a beautiful woman reflected in the crystal mirror. Her skin was as white as jade, and her eyes were filled with pain and tears, but she was indescribably gentle and moving. Not only had she recovered her appearance, but she was even more beautiful than 16 years ago. The beauty illusion poison has such an effect. As long as one can endure the pain of being dismembered, they can obtain a new life. Yi Jiuge believed that when the Empress saw the current Imperial consort Xi, she would definitely hate her to the core. A new life. Imperial consort Xi muttered to herself. The beauty in the mirror's expression slowly became firm, and her eyes were burning with hatred. Her beautiful face was covered with a resentful expression, like a scorpion with a poisonous needle, ready to devour people at any time. Yi Jiuge was shocked. He was really afraid that Imperial consort Xi wouldn't be able to suppress her emotions and enter the palace to fight with the Empress. However, Imperial consort Xi quickly recovered her normal expression. Her full lips were red like a pill, and she smiled beautifully. "Dongfang Yan Shuemingzhu, I'm back." After saying that, he closed his eyes and fainted. "Your Highness, what's wrong?" Nanny Zhou hurriedly straightened her body and looked towards Yi Jiuge in panic. "Eldest miss, quickly take a look at her ladyship." Yi Jiuge stepped forward to take her pulse. Seeing that she was only unconscious due to exhaustion, he said, "Nyang Nyang is fine. She will be fine after a nap." Nanny Zhou breathed a sigh of relief. Her body went limp and she sat on the ground. "Nanny, stop kneeling." Yi Jiuge helped Nanny Zhou up and advised, "Nyang Nyang still needs you to serve her. If you fall, she will have no one to rely on." Eldest miss is right. Nanny Zhou wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. She hid all the sadness, pain, and exhaustion in her heart. If it wasn't for the fact that she had been cultivating all these years and her body was still considered strong, She probably wouldn't have been able to withstand the emotional ups and downs. Nanny, send noble consort Shi back to rest first. I'll go out and tell His Highness, the Prince of Dongling, lest he worries, said Yijioga. Noble consort Shi's poison had been completely expelled. The next step was to quietly recuperate. Okay, eldest miss, there is hot water and new clothes over there. You should also change your clothes. Nanny Zhou looked at Yijioga, who was covered in blood. Yijioga's figure was about the same as noble consort Shi's, so he should be able to wear her clothes. Okay, I'll change later. Only then did Yijioga discover that his body was covered in the smell of noble consort Shi's poison. Then this old servant will leave first. Nanny Zhou used a blanket to wrap noble consort Shi up and carried her back to the room. Yijioga simply wiped his body, picked a lotus blue dress, and put it on. Then he walked out of the courtyard. Dongfang Ke and Bai Songling were waiting outside the courtyard. Seeing Yijioga come out with a change of clothes and a face full of exhaustion, Dongfang Ke immediately asked worriedly, "Did something happen?" And, "Something went wrong when I was detoxifying the poison. I almost failed at the last moment. It's all my fault for not checking clearly before." Yijioga told him about the green toad's poison. These days, she had placed all her attention on noble consort Shi's injuries and the poison of beauty illusion. She had indeed been negligent. The Empress is vicious and meticulous, and the poison she uses is very strange. It's normal that you didn't discover it. Dongfang Ke wasn't comforting Yijioga. He had been poisoned by the Empress before, so he understood her methods very well. Often, after you thought you had detoxified the poison in your body, you would discover that another poison had just started. That's right. Miss Yi, it's a good thing that you came to detoxify Her Highness. If it was someone else, they probably wouldn't even have the chance to save her. Although Yijioga didn't explain the detoxification process, Bai Songling could tell from her pale face and tired figure that the detoxification process was very dangerous. Just now, in order to let Her Highness persevere, I told her about her miscarriage. I'm afraid that her mood will be very bad during this period of time. You guys have to pay more attention, Yijioga instructed. Although the poison in noble consort Shi's body had been detoxified, it was still very important to take care of her. If she didn't take care of it well, there might be some side effects. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Her Highness. Dongfang Ke treated noble consort Shi as his own family, so he would naturally take good care of her. Alright, I'll go back first. If anything happens to noble consort Shi, you guys can come and inform me. Yijioga was so tired that it was hard for her to even speak. She just wanted to return to Purple Forest Park and have a good sleep. Songling, send Miss Yi back. Dongfang Ke instructed Bai Songling. Bai Songling brought Yijioga out of the Dongling Prince's palace and personally sent her back to the back door of the Yi residence. Only then did Yijioga enter through the back door. As soon as she entered the room, she fell asleep and only woke up at noon. Mother Qing came in a few times to take a look. Seeing that Yijioga was sleeping soundly, she couldn't bear to wake her up. She could only order Pearl to guard the door and immediately call her if Miss woke up. After Yijioga woke up, Mother Qing didn't ask anything and immediately prepared a table full of good dishes to serve her. Yijioga had just eaten halfway when Pearl walked in from outside with a black invitation in her hand. She said, "Miss, this is an invitation that Lord Wan's residence just sent over." Yijioga put down her bowl and chopsticks, took the invitation and looked at it. It was Bai Songling's handwriting, telling her to go to Yuwu Tea House in the afternoon. Could it be that something happened to noble consort Shi? Yijioga didn't have the mood to eat anymore, so she changed her clothes and prepared to go out. Chapter 116. Eldest Miss, no matter how important this date is, you can't ignore your health. Mother Qing couldn't help but say. She knew that Eldest Miss, Wan Darren and Bai Darren weren't just chatting, there were other important matters to attend to. But no matter how important those matters were, they couldn't leave early and return late like this. It's fine, I'm in good health, Yijioga said. She just missed 2 meals, she wouldn't starve to death. You're not a pill refiner from the Ministry of Justice, why do they come to you for everything? Mother Qing muttered with dissatisfaction. Every time eldest Miss came back from Yuwu tea house, she would either go out to pick herbs or refine pills in the pill refining room. No matter how stupid she was, she knew that Wan Xiang and Bai Songling came to find eldest Miss for pills. Originally, she thought that the two of them were good son-in-laws, but now it seemed that they weren't anything good. Helping them is also helping me. Alright, don't worry about it so much. Yi Jioga changed his clothes and went out alone in the carriage. Bai Songling was already waiting in the room of Yu Wu tea house. When she saw Yi Jioga, she said apologetically, "Eldest Miss, sorry for troubling you. Brother Bai is too polite. Did something happen to Imperial Consort Shi?" Yi Jioga asked. Sigh, Bai Songling sighed heavily and said, "Her Highness said that she wants to return to the palace now." But Yi Jioga was shocked. Imperial Consort She had just finished detoxifying last night and didn't even have the strength to speak. What did she want to do now? Yes, His Highness persuaded her for a long time, but she still insisted on returning to the palace immediately. His Highness really had no choice but to come to you for help. In fact, Imperial Consort She had already been making a fuss this morning. They dragged it out until now to find Yi Jioga because they were worried that it would affect her rest. Alright, I'll go with you now. Yi Jioga knew that the matter of the child must have stimulated Imperial Consort Shi. Right now, Imperial Consort She was eager for revenge and couldn't wait a second longer. It was just that with her current body, it would be extremely dangerous for her to enter the tiger's den. Yi Jioga rushed to the prince's residence. Before he could take off his cloak, he was hurriedly pulled into the courtyard by Nurse Zhou. "Eldest Miss, please go and persuade her ladyship. His Highness can't hold them back any longer." Yi Jioga quickly walked towards the courtyard and saw Dongfang Ke blocking the entrance from afar. Noble consort She stood in front of Dongfang Quebec. Her hair was combed into an auspicious cloud bun, and she wore a golden phoenix hairpin inlaid with jewels. She was dressed in a black gold embroidered robe with phoenix patterns, and she wore red phoenix wing satin shoes. She was dressed like an imperial consort, which was enough to show how determined she was to return to the palace. Although she had applied rouge on her face, it was unable to conceal her pale complexion. Her straight back was also trembling slightly. Her voice was as cold as ice as she said to Dongfang Ke, "Move aside, don't make this consort repeat myself. Your Highness, I can't let you go back and die like this." Dongfang Ke shook his head. He had been persuading her for a long time, saying all the good and bad things, but noble consort She just wouldn't listen. He could only block her at the door. "You don't need to worry about my life or death." Noble consort She's expression was fierce, and her voice was filled with blood. "You can stop me now, but you can't stop me forever. If this consort is determined to go out, it's useless no matter how you try to stop me." The Dongling princely residence wasn't completely united. If she was forced into a corner, all she had to do was shout and a spy would immediately send the news into the palace. At that time, even if Dongfang Ke wanted to stop her, it would be useless. Dongfang Ke also knew this, so he didn't dare to be too forceful. He only persuaded, "Your Highness, even if you want to leave, you have to let young Miss Yi treat you first." "There's no need. This consort will remember Jioga's kindness to this consort. If there's a chance in the future, I'll naturally repay it." Noble consort She didn't want to see Yi Jioga. As long as she saw Yi Jioga, she would remember the pain of losing her child. This pain deeply tormented her, and she couldn't rest for even a moment. Right now, she just wanted to immediately return to the palace and let her enemies have a taste of this feeling. Thinking of this, noble consort She no longer hesitated. She lifted her foot and walked towards the door. She made up her mind that if Dongfang Ke still dared to stop her, then he couldn't blame her for being ruthless. "Your Highness." Seeing this, Yi Jioga hurriedly walked into the courtyard. "Young Miss Yi, you finally come." Dongfang Ke couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. "Jioga." Noble consort She looked at Yi Jioga and said resolutely, "You don't need to persuade me. No matter what you say, I'm going back to the palace." "Your Highness, I'm not here to persuade you." Yi Jioga had already thought of an excuse on the way here. He knew that noble consort she had already made up her mind, so it was useless to say anything now. It's fine if you want to return to the palace, but the inner palace isn't like the princely residences. If the Empress poisons you again, even if I have 3 heads and 6 arms, I won't be able to rush into the inner palace to save you. So, please wait a few days. I'll think of a way to get something that can identify poison for you to bring into the palace. What do you think? That's right, Your Highness, we're going back to take revenge. We can't fall for that evil woman's tricks before we even get our revenge. Nanny Zhou also tried to persuade. She had followed the Empress for so many years and knew her personality very well. If she tried to persuade her to rest and recuperate, she definitely wouldn't listen because she had already disregarded her own life and death. But if it was under the banner of revenge, the Empress might still listen to it. Noble consort, she hesitated for a moment and said to Yijioga, "After you think of a way, you can tell me after you enter the palace." Your Highness, do you think I can still stay at home and think of a way if you return to the palace like this? Yijioga said helplessly. She could already imagine the scene of noble consort she being poisoned by the Empress as soon as she returned to the palace. Your Highness, sharpening the knife doesn't delay the work of cutting firewood. The arrangements in the palace aren't complete yet. It's not the best time for you to return. Dongfang Ke tried to persuade her. Noble consort, she didn't say anything. It seemed that she hadn't completely given up. Yijioga thought about it and slowly said, "Also, Your Highness, returning to the palace like this is too degrading. In my opinion, we should have the Emperor personally go to the Imperial Temple to pick you up. We should have a 10-mile red carpet to welcome you back to the palace. Only then would we be able to slap the Empress in the face." A 10-mile red carpet was something the Empress would only have when she returned to the palace. If noble consort she returned to the palace like this, she could indeed step on the Empress. Noble consort, she's beautiful eyes lit up and she slowly nodded. Jioga is right. Since she was going back for revenge, she had to have a beautiful opening. In order to see the Empress' ugly face, she didn't mind waiting a few more days. Your Highness, then I'll send you back to the Imperial Temple tomorrow and then send someone to tell Father that you've recovered your appearance. Seeing that noble consort she's attitude had softened, Dongfang Ke finally let out a sigh of relief. I'll write a personal letter now and have someone pass it to the Emperor. Send me back to the Imperial Temple tonight, noble consort, she said decisively. Chapter 117. All right. Dongfang Ke nodded. As long as noble consort she didn't immediately return to the palace, everything else could be discussed. Your Highness, since we're going back to the Imperial Temple, why don't we let First Miss take your pulse again? Nanny Zhou took the opportunity to say. Sorry for troubling Jioga. Noble consort, she looked at Yijioga apologetically. She wasn't purposely tormenting him. It was just that she couldn't suppress the hatred in her heart and couldn't care less about anything else in her impulsive state. Your Highness is too polite. Yijioga accompanied noble consort she back to the inner chamber and began to feel her pulse. Noble consort she's pulse was weak, and her internal organs had not been adjusted yet. She still needed to rest quietly. Her ladyship didn't sleep well last night, Nanny Zhou said in a low voice. Last night? Noble consort, she woke up in the middle of the night. As she cried, she recalled the symptoms of pregnancy at that time and scolded herself for being careless. After crying, she began to dress up and said that she wanted to return to the palace. It could be said that she did not sleep for the whole night. Your Highness, don't worry and take care of yourself. Yijioga looked at noble consort she and said. If he continued like this, his body wouldn't be able to take it. Jioga, don't listen to Nanny Zhou's nonsense. I know my body, there's nothing wrong with it. Noble consort, she stopped. She had endured so much suffering in the past, so a night without sleep was nothing to her. No matter what, I need to recuperate first. Yijioga knew that it was impossible for noble consort she to rest quietly. She picked up the pen and wrote a prescription for noble consort she to rest and then said seriously, Your Highness, don't blame me for speaking harshly. Food and sex are human nature. When you go back to the palace, you have to rely on this face to win over the Emperor. If you don't sleep well at night, you will easily become old and ugly. Hearing this, imperial consort, she couldn't help but touch her face. She immediately nodded and said, I know, I'll definitely take good care of myself. She was still waiting to meet the Empress and see her regretful face. Don't worry, Miss Yi. I will make sure her ladyship takes it on time. Nanny Zhou took the prescription and decided to make it for her ladyship as soon as she returned to the imperial temple tonight. Noble consort, she still had to rush back to the imperial temple, so Yi Jioga didn't say anything else and quickly took his leave. She left the courtyard and seeing that Dong Fengke was still waiting outside, she gave him a look. Dong Fengke tactfully brought her to the study and asked, How does eldest Miss Yi plan to help the Empress test for poison? If it's not too troublesome, can you help me get one as well? In reality, Dong Fengke was very wary of the Empress' strange poisons that did not have strong layers. If there was a way to prevent it, it would be for the best. I need to go back and think about it. Yi Jioga had only thought of it perfunctorily to appease noble consort Shi. He still didn't know what to do. She had never come into contact with refining weapons before, so she had to ask Zishang when she returned. Eldest miss, if there's anything you need, please let me know. Dong Fengke said sincerely. Yi Jioga saved noble consort Shi, so he really wanted to pay Yi Jioga's consultation fee. But giving him silver was too tacky, and giving him other things was worrying that Yi Jioga wouldn't like it. I really need a spirit fruit called the Sacred Origin Fruit right now. I wonder if your highness can help me get it. Yi Jioga wanted that Sacred Origin Fruit for Zishang. Miss Yi, please wait a moment. I'll check if there are any in the storeroom. Dong Fengke called Old He over. After carefully checking the storeroom's booklet, there really was the Sacred Origin Fruit that Yi Jioga wanted. Many thanks. Yi Jioga received the Sacred Origin Fruit and returned to Purple Forest Park. Then he started to call Zishang. After Zishang appeared, he circled around Yi Jioga as usual. He rested his chin on her head and asked lazily, What's the matter? Yi Jioga was already numb from being hugged by him. She didn't move and asked, Do you have a way to make a spirit tool for noble consort Shi to identify the Empress poison? What are the benefits? Zishang asked. Don't ask for benefits so easily. Talking about money hurts feelings. Do you understand? Yi Jioga rolled her eyes. This sovereign only knows how to talk about feelings hurts money. Zishang bit Yi Jioga's small face. The little girl was still too naive to think of using psychological methods on him. Benefits, take it. Yi Jioga wiped her face in disgust and took out a box of Sacred Origin Fruit. This Sacred Origin Fruit was obtained by Dong Fengke and the Bai clan from the demonic beast battlefield. He didn't know what use it had, so he kept it in the storeroom. Zishang lowered his head and saw that there were a total of 5 thumb-sized Sacred Origin Fruits in the wooden box in Yi Jioga's hands. Although they weren't as old as the fat black mouses, they were still rare. However, the rarest thing was Yi Jioga's sincerity. She had only eaten it once, but she remembered that it was good for him. Yi Jioga saw that Zishang didn't make a move and thought that he didn't need the Sacred Origin Fruit anymore. She was a little disappointed and asked, Other than the Sacred Origin Fruit, is there anything else that can recover your demonic power? Tell me, I'll help you look for it in the future. Instead of giving her body to Zishang every time, Yi Jioga would rather work hard to help Zishang collect the things he needed. No need, this Sacred Origin Fruit is enough. Zishang picked up the few Sacred Origin Fruits and placed them in his mouth. The things he needed were things that Yi Jioga couldn't get with her current strength. It was already good enough that she could get a few fruits to nourish him. Then how can I refine the spirit tool that can detect poison? After eating the fruit, he should give her the answer. Refining requires a foundation. If you want to learn how to refine in a few days, you should save it. Zishang glanced at Yi Jioga. It wasn't that he looked down on Yi Jioga, but he was biting off more than he could chew. It wasn't the time for her to learn how to refine. Then, other than refining, is there any other way? Yi Jioga didn't really have to refine. She was still busy concocting pills, so how could she have the time to learn how to refine? This sovereign has a way to let your imperial consort She quickly learn how to identify poison. Seeing that the sacred origin fruit was enough, Zishang gave Yijioga an idea. In this world, there's a kind of insect called the poison earth dragon. It's extremely sensitive to poison. As long as it sees poison, it will become scared and flee. You can try this. I'll look for it now. Yijioga had also heard of the poison earth dragon. Usually, it would be used to concoct pills after it was dried and ground into powder, but it was rare to see it alive. Fortunately, some pharmacies would usually keep some of them, so Yijioga quickly got a few poison earth dragons back. The poison earth dragon looked like a newly hatched bee larva. It was white and plump, lying motionlessly in the wooden tube. Yijioga poured the poison earth dragon on the table, then casually took out a leprosy grass and placed it in front of it to test. This leprosy grass grew like a wheat stalk. Although it wasn't very poisonous, it was colorless and tasteless. After eating it, it would cause the limbs to be numb. It was also a commonly used herb to concoct poison pills. The poison earth dragon raised its head and looked at the leprosy grass. Then, it slowly wriggled on the spot, and no longer had any reaction. Yijioga was instantly speechless. If he wanted to rely on this thing to identify poison, he was afraid that he would need someone to keep a close eye on it at all times. Wasn't this a joke? This is what you meant by, as long as it sees poison, it will become scared and flee? Yijioga threw the leprosy grass on the table. He felt that Zishang might have misunderstood the word flee. Chapter 118. Your poison earth dragon's rank is too low. If you can find one above rank 3, it naturally wouldn't have such a reaction. Zishang said coldly. He had already given her the method. Could she blame him if she couldn't find it? Are you sure there really is a rank 3 poison earth dragon in this world? Yijioga had already asked the people at the pharmacy. They said that this poison earth dragon only had 15 days of lifespan. It was impossible for it to advance. I've seen it in the monster race. Zishang said mysteriously. However, that rank 3 poison earth dragon had obtained a huge opportunity to advance. It was impossible for a small place like Thunder Country to have one. Monster race? Why don't you say Tian race? Yijioga rolled his eyes. Zishang wouldn't admit that his idea wasn't reliable. He thought about it and said, actually, you can use this bug in another way. What? Yijioga asked. Let that imperial consort she swallow the poison earth dragon. As long as she touches the poison earth dragon will wriggle in her stomach. After she spits out the poison, the chance of being poisoned will naturally decrease. Zishang felt that this idea wasn't bad. Although the poison earth dragon didn't have a long lifespan, it was cheap and easy to raise. Eating one in half a month wasn't a problem. You want me to take this bug and let imperial consort she swallow it alive? Yijioga felt disgusted just thinking about it. It was even more impossible for imperial consort she to do such a thing. I've given you the method. Whether she uses it or not is up to her. Zishang said coldly. Testing for poison and also making it comfortable. How could there be such a good thing? Is there really no other way? Yijioga didn't give up and asked. You can still learn to forge, but it will take at least 3 years. Zishang said. 3 years? Imperial consort she had probably died no less than a few hundred times. When it's a matter of life and death, who cares if she's disgusted or not? As long as it's useful. Zishang didn't like Yijioga's personality. Alright. Yijioga had no other way. She looked at the white fat bug on the table and went to find Bai Songling. Isn't this the poison earth dragon? Why did you bring this bug here? Bai Songling immediately recognized the white fat bug in Yijioga's hand and asked curiously. Cough cough. Yijioga coughed twice before saying in a serious tone, didn't you ask me how to help noble consort she identify poisons? This earth poison dragon is the key. I'd like to hear the details. Bai Songling said seriously with a serious expression. When he heard Yijioga's method, Jun's face twitched a little, and he couldn't help but ask, did you just say swallowing alive? Yijioga nodded seriously. Bai Songling couldn't help swallowing his saliva and asked, do you have to swallow it alive? Can't you eat it after steaming or frying it? No, it won't work if it dies. Yi Jioge shook his head. What he wanted was the feeling of the worm wriggling in his stomach. Bai Songling looked at the earth poison dragon, then at Yi Jioge, and asked with difficulty, "Are we really going to give it to noble consort Shi like this?" He was afraid that noble consort Shi would throw the worm at his face. Yi Jioge silently placed the earth poison dragon in Bai Songling's hands. Anyway, she had already thought of a way. Whether she could convince noble consort Shi would depend on her. Well, I'll try it first and see if it really works. Bai Songling sighed, resigned to his fate. It was already good that Yi Jioge could come up with a way. They really didn't have the right to be picky. Brother Bai is a true warrior. Yi Jioge praised him with a thumbs up. Don't make fun of me. Bai Songling glared at Yi Jioge snappily. Although his part-time job was a coroner, it didn't mean that he could tolerate this kind of soft and disgusting thing. Yi Jioge looked at Bai Songling's heroic appearance and kindly comforted him. You don't have to be so painful. This earth poison dragon is also a commonly used traditional Chinese medicine. You must have eaten it before. There's no difference. I want to give them a bath. Can I soak it in wine? Bai Songling asked. It didn't feel so disgusting to eat it with wine. Yi Jioge nodded. The earth poison dragon's vitality was actually very tenacious. It was very difficult to kill it before it died of old age. Bai Songling took out the strongest new, Hong, and picked 2 earth poison dragons that he thought were the cleanest. He soaked them in the wine and then swallowed them with his eyes closed. Yi Jioge looked at Bai Songling's Adam's apple moving and could not help but ask, "How does it taste?" "It smells like wine," Bai Songling said with a crying face. "Apart from the smell of wine, do you feel uncomfortable?" This was the key point. "It's okay. It just feels shabby and disgusting." Bai Songling shook his head. No one would feel good after swallowing a live worm. "Then let's talk about it first. If you feel disgusted now, it will affect the test. Let's talk about something else. By the way, did the Bai family find the fire dragon grass?" Yi Jioge asked. Bai Songling shook his head and said, "The warriors sent by the Bai family haven't sent back any news for a long time. I'm afraid they have died on the road." It was a journey of thousands of miles, and it was surrounded by mountains. Death was really a simple thing. Don't be too pessimistic. Maybe they were just delayed by something, so they couldn't send back the news in time. Yi Jioge guided Bai Songling to talk about other topics. Seeing that he slowly relaxed, Yi Jioge secretly crushed a knockout drug. Bai Songling immediately frowned and looked around. Then he asked Yi Jioge doubtfully, "Do you smell anything strange?" Yi Jioge blinked and shook his head innocently. "No, there is a strange smell." Bai Songling covered his mouth and nose, looked at Yi Jioge's finger with sharp eyes and shouted, "Did you poison it?" "I just crushed a knockout drug. How can you smell it?" Yi Jioge could not help but raise his eyebrows. She thought that Bai Songling would only notice it when the drug took effect. She did not expect it to be so fast. Stinks. After saying this, Bai Songling immediately vomited. Yi Jioge immediately moved away from Bai Songling. Seeing him vomiting pitifully, Yi Jioge did not feel sympathetic at all. Instead, she felt very satisfied. This kind of colorless and odorless knockout drug was the most difficult to detect. However, Bai Songling could immediately react, which meant that the effect of the poisonous earth dragon was very good. So she was relieved. As for how to persuade Imperial concubine Shi to take it, Yi Jioge also had her own ideas. "I think we don't need to tell the truth to Imperial concubine Shi. We just need to put this poisonous earth dragon into an empty pill and let Imperial concubine Shi take it. Sometimes white lies were also necessary." "Good idea." Bai Songling wiped his mouth and nodded in agreement. He secretly made up his mind that this white lie must be hidden from Imperial concubine Shi for a lifetime. Chapter 119. Since we're going to use this poison earth dragon as a detoxification pill, then we need to cultivate a batch of good insect seedlings. Yi Jioge predicted that he would need a lot of poison earth dragons in the future. If he always went to the pharmacy to buy them, it was hard to guarantee that no one would leak it. Our Dongling Wangfu's pharmacy has a shed specifically for raising poison earth dragons. When the time comes, just have them keep a batch of good ones. It's not something valuable anyway. By Songling said, ordinary poison earth dragons have a short lifespan. I want to choose a batch of good eggs to cultivate myself. Yi Jioga wanted to cultivate poison earth dragons with a longer lifespan and greater use. No problem, I'll take you to choose now. Yi Jioga wanting to improve the poison earth dragons was simply a good thing for Bai Songling. The Dongling Wangfu had a large herbal farm on the outskirts. In addition to cultivating poison earth dragons, they also grew many precious medicinal herbs. The head of the farm was surnamed Qin. Seeing that Bai Songling had brought the young miss of the Yi family over to choose some good poison earth dragons as medicinal herbs, he personally took them to the shed. The shed was filled with huge dustpans filled with white and fat poison earth dragons. 4 or 5 servants were constantly distributing poison wind leaves for them to eat. These poison wind leaves were the main food of the poison earth dragons. They had a gray surface and carried a bit of poison. After the poison earth dragons ate, they would spit out green saliva. This was the antidote for the poison wind leaves and also the medicinal herbs purchased by the pharmacy. Bai Songling looked at the densely packed white and fat insects and immediately felt his scalp go numb. He asked the head of the farm, "Is there anyone here who has studied poison earth dragons? Let them choose a batch first." Everyone had their own specialties. Letting them choose a batch first was better than Yi Jioga searching through so many insects himself. Yes. The head of the farm immediately nodded and shouted towards the shed, "Little Mute, come here." Hearing the head of the farm, a skinny boy wearing dark blue clothes walked out from the corner of the shed. He was about 11 years old and had a pair of large black eyes on his skinny face. He looked especially horrifying, like a puppet. Yi Jioga looked at this little boy and inexplicably felt that something was wrong. He asked, "Who is this?" "This is an adopted son adopted by a distant relative of mine. He doesn't have a name, so we all call him Little Mute. Although he can't speak, he's especially good at taking care of medicinal insects. It's also partly because of him that these poisonous earth dragons can be raised so well." Manager Chen was afraid that Bai Songling would accuse him of abusing his power to take care of his relative, so he quickly explained. "All right, let him pick some good worms for me," Bai Songling said indifferently. He was so young and mute. Even if he didn't have any skills, the village could still afford to raise him. After listening to Bai Songling's words, Little Mute took a dustpan and began to select the poisonous earth dragons. Soon, he had picked more than 100 of them and filled the dustpan. "Enough," Yi Jioga said. She had already opened her spiritual eye to check. The poison earth dragons that Little Mute had picked up were filled with life force. They were indeed the best seedlings. Little Mute glanced at head Shinzhuangtou. Seeing him nod, he stopped and quietly placed the dustpan in front of everyone. "This kid is interesting." Zi Shang's lazy voice rang in Yi Jioga's ears. "What's interesting?" Yi Jioga asked back. "You bring him back first, you'll know in the future." Zi Shang laughed and didn't say anything else. Yi Jioga was already used to Zi Shang's way of speaking. However, anything that could attract Zi Shang's attention was not ordinary, and this wooden Little Mute was no exception. Yi Jioga was determined to bring this wooden Little Mute away, so he smiled and said to him, "Little Mute, I'm lacking someone to help raise the poisonous earth dragons. Are you willing to help?" The wooden Little Mute was expressionless. He didn't shake his head or nod his head, as though he didn't understand what Yi Jioga was saying. Manager Chen knew that this kid was wooden and was afraid that he would offend his master, so he hurriedly said, "This kid is a servant of our village. If young miss wants him, then just bring him away. There's no need to ask for his opinion." "I'm asking him, not you." Yi Jioga was dissatisfied with the way the manager treated people like objects. "I was too talkative, please forgive me, young miss." Manager Chen was so scared that sweat broke out all over his body, and he didn't dare say anything else. Yi Jioga looked at the wooden Little Mute and continued, "If you work at my place, food and accommodation will be provided, and you'll be paid 10 taels of silver per month, 2 days off per month, red envelopes and festive gifts during the holidays, and if you raise him well, you'll receive a monthly bonus, starting at 10 taels of silver. These conditions were 100 times better than being a servant at the village, and even Manager Chen wanted to apply for the job. He hurriedly gave the wooden little mute a look, and opened his mouth to say soundlessly, "Hurry up and agree." The blockhead little mute slowly nodded his head. "Then go back and pack your things, you'll leave with these poisonous earth dragons in a bit." Yi Jiuge immediately decided. After successfully abducting the wooden little mute, Yi Jiuge arranged for him to live in a small courtyard behind Wan Xiang and Bai Songling's house. This small courtyard was originally a property under the name of the Prince of Dongling residence, and now it had been transferred to Yi Jiuge. "Little mute, you'll live here from now on, and someone will come over to take care of your 3 meals a day. You just need to focus on raising these poisonous earth dragons for me," Yi Jiuge said to the wooden little mute. The wooden little mute still looked like a wooden person and didn't respond at all. Yi Jiuge didn't mind and continued, "I specially called you over to raise poisonous earth dragons that have a longer lifespan and a stronger detoxification effect, so the method of raising them will be a bit different from before. First, these poisonous earth dragons have to be divided into 3 portions, and each portion will be fed with a different ingredient. You have to observe how they compare after they eat it." The ingredients Yi Jiuge prepared were leprosy grass, red butterfly slices, and oleander. They were all poisonous herbs, and their grades were all higher than the poison windgrass. "Why go through so much trouble?" Xianxia spoke again. "Don't worry about me, I just like trouble." Although Yi Jiuge knew that Xianxia definitely had a better method, he didn't have any benefits to give him, so he could only slowly explore it himself. In any case, there was no rush. "This sovereign is in a good mood today, so I'll tell you a method for free." Xianxia transmitted his voice. After Yi Jiuge heard this, he immediately asked suspiciously, "Will this really work?" "Whether it works or not, you'll know once you try." "All right, it doesn't cost me to try anyway." Yi Jiuge lowered his head to look at the wooden little mute, and said according to the method Xianxia taught him, "If you can help me raise better poisonous earth dragons, I'm willing to exchange a spirit beast pill for it." When the wooden little mute heard Yi Jiuge's words, he immediately raised his head to look at her. An indescribable light flashed in his large black eyes, making his eyes shine like obsidian, and there was an indescribable beauty to it. However, that ray of light quickly disappeared, and it returned to its dark appearance. Chapter 120. "This brat doesn't believe you." Xianxia's tone had a sense of gloating. "How is that possible? My sister looks like a white lotus. Everyone should believe her." Yi Jiuge put on a serious face, as if treating a patient with a hidden disease, and said to the little mute seriously, "I only want the advanced version of the poisonous earth dragon, I'm not interested in other things." The blockhead little mute still had a blank look, not knowing if he understood. However, Yi Jiuge didn't have time to talk to him anymore. After telling Bai Songling to take care of the little mute's daily life, she returned to Purple Forest Park. 3 days later, Imperial Consort, she would enter the palace. She planned to first use the ordinary poisonous earth dragon to refine some poison testing pills, and wait for the little mute to refine the advanced version of the poisonous earth dragon before replacing it. The simplified version of the poison testing pill was very easy to refine. First, refine the pill, then stuff the living poisonous earth dragon into it and seal it. However, the dissolution time of this pill was very particular. It couldn't be too late or too early. It had to be dissolved the moment it entered the stomach, so that the poisonous earth dragon could smoothly settle down. Yi Jiuge tried several materials, and finally chose erdong, Gastrodia elata, philodendron, baiji, wolfberry, schisandra, etc. The pill made in this way was not only easy to dissolve, but also had the effect of nourishing the spleen and kidneys. After Yi Jiuge ground these medicinal materials into a fine powder, she mixed it with the walnut oil, then kneaded it into a small honey pill, and finally stuffed the poisonous earth dragon into it and sealed it. Yi Jiuge stopped after making 10 honey pills. It was useless to make more anyway. Xianxia saw that Yi Jiuge wanted to sleep, so he appeared and circled her and teased, "Did you forget something?" "What did I forget?" "Why didn't she know?" If you don't refine spirit beast pills, what will you use to exchange for the poisonous earth dragon with that little mute? Zishang pulled Yi Jioga's earlobe with both hands and made a fierce look. Or do you want to eat and dash? Are you sure he can really make the advanced version of the poisonous earth dragon? Yi Jioga let Zishang pull her ear and continued to put the freshly made honey pill into the bottle. Of course. Zishang pinched Yi Jioga's soft earlobe and played with it happily. Yi Jioga put down the jade bottle and asked politely, "Then, I will start refining now. Can you let go of my ears?" She had already discovered that compared to violent confrontation, it was better to be more docile to solve problems quickly. Alright. Zishang didn't know what to do with the obedient Yi Jioga. Although Zishang let go of Yi Jioga's earlobe, he still hugged her tightly. He was really a boneless snake. Yi Jioga was already numb from being hugged by Zishang. Dragging him along, he began to refine pills with much difficulty. Fortunately, the spirit beast pill was not difficult to refine. All he had to do was prepare the ingredients and throw them into the small bronze cauldron. Although this small bronze cauldron looked shabby, and it took a long time to refine pills, the success rate was very high. In addition, the fat black rat's saliva was 100% success rate, which saved her a lot of trouble. Why does that little mute want the spirit beast Dan? Could it be that he raised some kind of spirit beast? Yi Jioga asked. The reason why she didn't kick Zishang, who was wrapped around her body, away was partly because she wanted to get some information out of him. Look at how poor he is. Does he look like he can raise a spirit beast? Zishang rested his chin on Yi Jioga's head. This position was the most comfortable. Then why does he want the spirit beast Dan? Yi Jioga couldn't understand. This expensive spirit beast Dan was like imported cat food. Other than cat slaves who would pay tribute to their cat masters, most people wouldn't buy it. Of course it's to eat. Zishang rubbed Yi Jioga's head. He was so comfortable that his eyes narrowed. He doesn't have a spirit beast. It's impossible for him to eat it himself. Yi Jioga said in disbelief. Could it be that the little mute has pica and loves to eat this spirit beast Dan? Guess. Zishang was still hanging, waiting for Yi Jioga to state her conditions. If you don't want to say it, then forget it. Yi Jioga wasn't going to fall for it. Other than things related to her own life, she wasn't interested in anything else. Little Jioga is really not cute. It's getting harder and harder to deceive. Zishang's chin rested on top of Yi Jioga's hair bun. Suddenly he smelled a strange smell. How long has it been since you last washed your hair? Zishang asked. Not that long. At most a month. Yi Jioga pretended to be stupid. Ever since she found out that Zishang especially liked to use her head as a pillow, she purposely didn't wash her hair, wanting to suffocate Zishang to death. Wash. Zishang couldn't bear the fact that his royal pillow was so dirty. This is my hair. This lady likes the sour smell. What's wrong with that? Very quickly, Yi Jioga knew that going against a tyrant wouldn't end well. What do you mean by taking a bath without saying a word? Yi Jioga, who was pulled into the bathtub by Zishang and drenched in cold water, deeply regretted it. At this moment, her entire body was drenched. Her thin clothes stuck to her body, revealing her slightly rising and falling graceful figure. Did you forget that you still owe me 2 kisses? Zishang sized up Yi Jioga's figure with satisfaction. It wasn't in vain for him to personally help Yi Jioga clear the meridians in her chest. I will return it to you after I change my clothes. Yi Jioga wanted to escape. However, Zishang grabbed onto Yi Jioga's hands and hugged onto her tightly, causing the two's bodies to become even closer. Let go of me. Yi Jioga raised her leg and wanted to kick Zishang, but Zishang's snake tail tightly wrapped around her leg. Be good. Zishang lowered his head and kissed onto Yi Jioga's cherry lips, then pushed Yi Jioga onto the ground. Zishang's fierce and passionate kiss seemed as if even Yi Jioga's soul was about to be sucked away. Yi Jioga felt the suffocating pain. Taking the opportunity when Zishang loosened his grip, Yi Jioga punched onto Zishang's abdomen. Zishang's muscles were definitely made of stone. They were extraordinarily hard. Naughty! Zishang's palm slid down and heavily rubbed onto Yi Jioga's body. Yi Jioga felt that her small chest that had just developed was about to be squashed flat by Zishang. She struggled to resist, but Zishang forcefully suppressed her. The two rolled around in the small bathtub, and even the clothes rack that was placed at the side was knocked down. Mother Qing just happened to pass by the bathtub. Hearing the sound coming from inside, she couldn't help but ask, "Who's inside?" Hearing Mother Qing's voice, Yi Jioga immediately trembled. Both her hands grabbed Zishang's shoulders and pushed him away. Zishang followed her advice and moved his lips to Yi Jioga's ear. He bit on her meaty little earlobe, as if he was eating something delicious. That was a very sensitive place for Yi Jioga. A strange numbness spread from her abdomen to her limbs. Her whole body was trembling, and her voice had also become soft. "It's me. Miss, why are you inside?" Mother Qing was even more surprised. Wasn't Miss in the alchemy room? When did she come out? Moreover, she even went straight to the bathtub. "I suddenly felt an unbearable itch on my head, so I wanted to wash my hair. Quickly help me prepare some hot water." As Yi Jioga spoke, she stopped Zishang's hand from igniting the fire on her body. Chapter 121. This old servant will go prepare the hot water. Mother Qing immediately turned around and left. She felt that she was so incompetent that she didn't realize that eldest Mrs. Head was so itchy. "You really can't take it anymore?" Zishang whispered into Yi Jioga's ear as he moved his evil hand. "Zishang, can't you tell me in advance when you're in heat?" If Yi Jioga knew that Zishang would touch her like this if she didn't wash her hair, she would have shaved her hair. "It won't be long before my estrus period. You have to quickly get used to it," Zishang said very seriously. This little girl's growth was really too slow. Who knew when he would be able to eat her? It was so hard to wait. "You're really in heat." Yi Jioga's scalp went numb. Would her small body be able to withstand being ravaged by Zishang once? "You'll know when the time comes." Zishang reluctantly rubbed Yi Jioga's head and returned to her mark. At this time, Mother Qing and Jinju came over with hot water and knocked on the door. "Miss, the hot water is ready. Come in." Yi Jioga had already been ravaged to the point that he didn't want to move. Mother Qing came in and saw Yi Jioga's messy hair and clothes, but she didn't think much about it. "You can't go into the bathroom fully dressed." After Yi Jioga took a bath with the help of Mother Qing and Jinju, he fell on the bed and didn't move. When he woke up, it was already dawn. Yi Jioga stretched his body on the bed. Suddenly, he remembered that he was halfway through refining the spirit beast pill last night. He immediately jumped out of bed. "It's over, it's over. After refining for so long, it's definitely ruined." Yi Jioga hurriedly rushed into the alchemy room and opened the small bronze cauldron to take a look. He found 9 plump spirit beast pills inside, emitting a faint luster. They were actually grade 2 high-grade spirit beast pills. "Pippy!" The fat black rat jumped onto the small bronze cauldron, puffing out its fat chest to show that this was all thanks to it. "Good job, big sister will give you a raise." Yi Jioga gave the fat black rat a thumbs up. "Pai Pai Chan." Fat black rat did not care about wages. As long as Great King Purple Decease was satisfied, it was fine. "No problem. I'll definitely put in a good word for you in front of Great King Zishang." Yi Jioga happily packed the spirit beast pill and put it into the bag along with the poison testing pill he refined last night. After eating breakfast, she went to find Bai Songling with the bag. "You came at the right time." Bai Songling was relieved to see Yi Jioga. "What?" Yi Jioga asked curiously. "That little mute locked himself in his room last night and hasn't come out yet. He didn't eat his dinner or breakfast. I wonder what's going on?" Bai Songling was worried that little mute was carrying out the secret method that Yi Jioga was teaching him, so she didn't dare to act rashly. Yi Jioga couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Could that little mute really be cultivating an advanced version of the Earth Poison Dragon? Go and have a look when you have time. I have to go to the prince's mansion now, so I won't be able to accompany you. Bai Songling's own matters were quite urgent. Bai said. Bai Ling Bai Tian. Bai Zit. Yil Bai Xt Go. Bai Chen. Shao deep inside. C. Quiet inside. Yi Jioga opened it. She found a lot of food. The staple food for breakfast was porridge, steamed buns, side dishes, corn, sweet potatoes, and other coarse grains. There were also 2 fragrant meat pies, which smelled very good. It could be seen that Bai Songling cared a lot about this little mute. Yi Jioga put the lid on the food. She coughed. "What are you doing in there, little mute?" The wooden door creaked open. Little mute's snow-white face peeked out from behind the door. His lips were red, and his 2 large black eyes looked even more horrifying. Yi Jioga didn't know why. Every time she saw little mute, she got goosebumps. She pointed uncomfortably at the food on the table and said, "You must be hungry. Let's eat something first." Little mute didn't look at the food. Instead, he waved at Yi Jioga and asked her to follow him inside. Yi Jioga had no choice but to follow little mute into the dark room. The deeper she went, the more she felt something was wrong. The tip of his nose kept smelling a strange odor. It smelled a little like blood, but not quite. She took a closer look. She found a jar in the corner of the dark room. That strange smell was coming from it. Little mute stood next to the jar. He pointed at it, indicating Yi Jioga to see. Yi Jioga was also curious, so he lowered his head to look at the jar. Suddenly, a small black shadow shot out from the jar. It was heading straight for her. Just as she was about to make a move, little mute was faster than her. He reached out and pinched the black shadow. That black shadow immediately softened like a noodle. Only then did Yi Jioga realize that it was actually a black poisonous earth dragon. It was bigger than a normal earth poison dragon. It was black and exuded a strong life force. It was not an ordinary creature, but it was different from a normal earth poison dragon. Little mute handed the black earth poison dragon to Yi Jioga. He opened his left hand. It was clear he wanted to trade with her. "How did you raise this earth poison dragon?" Yi Jioga took out the spiritual beast pill and handed it to him. Little mute took the spiritual beast pill and smelled it. His eyes immediately flashed with surprise. It seemed he was very satisfied with the spiritual beast pill Yi Jioga gave him. He carefully put the pill away. He drew a circle in front of his chest to show that it was a dustpan. He then made an action of pouring the dustpan into the jar. Yi Jioga understood. You poured the dustpan's earth poison dragons into the jar and let them kill each other. In the end, there was only this one left, right? No wonder this earth poison dragon looked so strange. It turned out it was refined using this kind of cruel method. Little mute nodded. He then turned around and left the room. He opened the mahogany food box and began to eat. Yi Jioga looked at him wolfing down the food. She couldn't help but have a question in her heart. Where did this little mute come from? The method, he said, was the same as raising goo in Miaojiang. Only a special secret technique could do it. Moreover, looking at the way he grabbed the earth poison dragon with his bare hands, this child was definitely not as simple as an orphan. Little mute didn't care about Yi Jioga's probing gaze. After he finished eating, he wiped his mouth with his sleeve and went back to the small dark room to rest. Wait! Yi Jioga called out to him. She asked, "Can you continue to raise this kind of earth poison dragon?" Little mute stretched out his thin fingers. He made a meatball. He meant that as long as you have the spiritual beast pill, you can come and exchange it at any time. Chapter 122. I don't want this kind of poisonous earthworm, I want the normal kind. Although the poisonous earthworm produced by this method was powerful, the side effects were too great, and it was also harmful to nature, so it was not a long-term solution. Little mute hesitated for a moment, and made a strange gesture with his hand. Yi Jioga instantly understood. You mean that method is very slow? Little mute nodded again. It's okay, it doesn't matter if it's slow, as long as you can cultivate a poisonous earthworm that can evolve normally, I can exchange it for 5 spirit beast pills, Yi Jioga said generously. Little mute's eyes lit up, and he nodded vigorously. If you need anything, just let me know, I will try my best to satisfy you. Yi Jioga was going to put in a lot of effort this time. Little mute did not stand on ceremony, and after gesturing with his hands, he felt that it was not enough, and used his finger to write the words, "Second stage black housefly," on the brown table with tea. You want to use the second stage black housefly as supplementary feed for the poisonous earthworm? Yi Jioga asked curiously. Black housefly was a kind of spirit herb that looked like a fly, and was usually used to treat festering wounds. Although it was a spirit herb, it grew easily, and it was not expensive, so she could afford it. Little Mute nodded again. Your handwriting is not bad. Who taught you? Yi Jioga pretended to ask casually. These days, very few commoners were literate. Even Chen Zhuangtou could not read, let alone Little Mute, who was an orphan who was adopted. Little Mute's face flashed with vigilance, and he frowned and wrote another line of words. Didn't you say that you were not interested in anything other than the poisonous earthworm? A small line of words, with a questioning tone, as if he had been deceived. Don't worry, I was just asking casually. All right, go to sleep first, I will have someone send the black housefly over later. Yi Jioga immediately gave up on investigating Little Mute. Who cares where he came from as long as he could work? Little Mute carefully looked at Yi Jioga, and after confirming that she did not have any ill intentions, his little eyebrows relaxed, and he turned around and floated into the house. Yi Jioga wiped off the writing on the table, picked up the food box that Little Mute had eaten, and prepared to find Bai Songling to help him get the black fly grass. Unexpectedly, as soon as she walked to the door, Bai Songling rushed in like a whirlwind and pulled her out. Oh no, the demon poison in His Highness's body is acting up. Come with me to have a look. Let's go. Yi Jioga threw the lunchbox aside and immediately rushed to Prince Dongling's mansion with Bai Songling. Dongfang Ke was lying on the luxurious bed with his eyes tightly shut. His handsome face was deathly pale and his lips were icy purple. His entire body was as hard as ice. Yi Jioga placed his finger on Dongfang Ke's wrist and felt as though he was touching a block of ice. He was completely unable to feel the pulse. She opened her spiritual eye to take a closer look and discovered that the spiritual energy in his dantian was in a mess. She could faintly see a blurry white spider. Without a doubt, the Snow Spider King's poison in his body had taken effect. Yi Jioga raised his head and asked Bai Songling, why did Her Highness suddenly act up? Today, His Majesty summoned His Highness into the palace to ask about noble consort Shi. Yi Jioga suddenly acted up after returning. Bai Songling gritted her teeth and said, that evil woman, the Empress, must have done something. Her poison is unpredictable and His Highness was unable to guard against it. Then why didn't you let His Highness take the poison testing pill before entering the palace? Yi Jioga asked curiously. If Dongfang Ke had swallowed the poison earth dragon before entering the palace, it would have served as a warning. I forgot. Bai Songling wanted to keep it a secret, so she didn't mention it to Dongfang Quebec. Why didn't you forget about yourself? Yi Jioga glanced at Bai Songling. AI, don't talk about me. I'm already regretting it to the point that my intestines are turning green. Bai Songling had a look of regret and she almost knelt down to beg brother Yi Jio. Help me take off His Highness's shirt first. Yi Jioga prepared to use acupuncture to save him. Bai Songling directly took off Dongfang Ke's shirt. Dongfang Ke's skin was smooth and firm, and the shape of his muscles was very beautiful. It was obvious that he had trained and was very pleasing to the eye. Yi Jioga silently glanced at him, then took out the thunderfire needle and pierced it into Dongfang Ke's acupuncture points. However, it was repelled by a strange cold energy. Yi Jioga didn't believe it and secretly increased the input of spirit energy. The thunderfire needle glowed with a faint purple light as it pierced Dongfang Ke's body. Although the needle was successfully pierced in, if she had to use spirit energy for every needle, she probably wouldn't be able to last until the end. Bai Songling saw Yi Jioga's strange expression and hurriedly asked, Eldest Miss, what's wrong? His Highness's cold poison is too powerful. I can't completely remove it. Yi Jioga shook his head. With her current spirit energy, she couldn't completely remove the cold poison from Dongfang Ke's body. Then what should we do? Even the commonly used medicine can't suppress the cold poison in His Highness's body. Bai Songling looked at Dongfang Ke anxiously. She had a feeling that he would die in the next moment. Yi Jioga suddenly thought of the poisonous earth dragon goo that Little Mute had just cultivated. This thing had a strong ability to expel poison, so it might be able to cure Dongfang Ke's poison. There was no other way, so he could only give it a try. Yi Jiuge took out the jade bottle that contained the poisonous earth dragon goo and passed it to Bai Songling. Feed this to His Highness. Bai Songling opened the bottle and saw the pitch-black poisonous earth dragon goo. His handsome face immediately frowned as though he had eaten a gold thread. If he really fed it to Dongfang Ke, he would definitely be killed by Dongfang Quebec. Forget it. He had no other choice but to save his life. Bai Songling pinched open Dongfang Ke's mouth and did not hesitate to feed the poisonous earth dragon goo. The poisonous earth dragon goo slid down Dongfang Ke's throat and into his stomach. Yi Jiuge opened his spiritual eye and could clearly see that the poisonous earth dragon goo had entered Dongfang Ke's dantian and started to fight with the spider shadow. The two wild beasts were evenly matched and did not give way to each other, causing the spiritual energy in Dongfang Ke's dantian to be in a mess. Dongfang Ke painfully frowned while he was unconscious. Faint blue sweat seeped out of the pores on his body. Following which, he suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of ice blue blood. The blood froze the moment it landed on the ground. It was extremely strange. Yi Jiuge took the opportunity to insert his needles. Rays of purple light landed on Dongfang Ke's body. Especially on the two sides of his spine, Yi Jiuge inserted a total of 49 needles, suppressing the spider shadow's poison. The poisonous earth dragon goo took the opportunity to counterattack and frantically devoured the spider shadow. Every time it devoured, Dongfang Ke would spit out a mouthful of blue blood. Slowly, the blood turned from ice blue to faint red. Finally, it was a bright red color. At this moment, the spider shadow was about to be destroyed. Yi Jiuge heaved a sigh of relief and his needles were slightly slower. The spider shadow suddenly expanded and actually wanted to devour the poisonous earth dragon goo. Chapter 123. Yi Jiuge's heart tightened. The lightning fire needle spat out the last bit of spiritual energy to firmly suppress the spider image. The poison earth dragon parasite took the opportunity to completely devour the spider image, and then it stopped moving. The Snow Spider King's poison wasn't ordinary. Even if the poison earth dragon parasite killed it, it would just perish together. At this time, Dongfang Ke also spat out the last mouthful of poisonous blood. There was still a dried-up poison earth dragon parasite in the bright red blood. Done. Yi Jiuge immediately put away the needle. She weakly leaned against the bed frame, then took out the spirit recovery pill from her bag with trembling hands. Bai Songling very perceptively helped her take out the spirit recovery pill and poured a cup of hot water for her to consume. After Yi Jiuge ate the spirit recovery pill, he finally felt some strength in his body. However, his right hand was so sore that he couldn't lift it. "Are you all right?" Bai Songling asked with concern. If anything happened to Yi Jiuge, he wouldn't be able to absolve himself. "I'm fine, just tired." Yi Jiuge swung his sore right hand. This acupuncture was even more tiring than the time with noble consort Shi. It was a huge loss. Bai Songling let out a sigh of relief, then looked down at the poison earth dragon parasite's corpse and asked, "Eldest Miss, has His Highness's poison been cured?" For now, the remaining poison has been forced out, but to completely cure it, we still need to find fire dragon grass. Otherwise, the remaining poison will slowly corrode his spine like before, making it impossible for him to walk. The poison earth dragon parasite only cleansed Dongfang Ke's meridians, but it couldn't remove the root cause. Bai Songling heard Yi Jiuge's words and found a very important point. "You said the remaining poison will slowly corrode his spine like before, making it impossible for him to walk. Does that mean he can stand up and walk now?" Of course. There was no poison in Dongfang Ke's body now. Not to mention standing up and walking, he could even run a lap around the city. "Great, this is great." Bai Songling was so excited that his face turned red. He wanted to rush up and wake Dongfang Ke up to tell him this good news. "His Highness will wake up in the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. Find someone to help him tidy up." Yi Jiuge glanced at the naked Dongfang Ke, who was covered in blue blood. He looked like he had been ravaged. Bai Songling only cared about taking off her clothes. She simply called the butler, Uncle He, over. Uncle he had been waiting outside the entire time. When he heard that the poison in his highness' body had been completely removed and that he could now stand up and walk again, he almost knelt down to thank Yi Jioge. Then let's wait outside. Big brother Bai, come with me, Yi Jioge said to Bai Songling. Okay. Bai Songling also wanted to ask Yi Jioge about the black poisonous earth dragon, so she brought her to the hall. Yi Jioge didn't hide it from him and told him that the poison earth dragon was cultivated by Little Mute. However, the method of cultivation was kept secret. I didn't expect this Little Mute to be so talented. Bai Songling's eyes lit up and he immediately made up his mind to go back and investigate where this talent came from. Yi Jioge indicated that it was not her who asked Bai Songling to investigate. However, speaking of investigation, Yi Jioge also thought of something. How's the investigation of 7th concubine going? The 7th concubine in your mansion has a normal background. There's nothing wrong with her. Are you sure she's really a spy sent by the Empress? Bai Songling asked. I'm not sure. Yi Jioge was just suspicious. Recently, 7th concubine's side was very quiet. She didn't send anyone to the watering room anymore. She had secretly investigated Yuan Yang, the maid who rummaged through the garbage, and found that she just wanted to take some things from the mansion to help her sick mother. She knew nothing about 7th concubine. By the way, are Su Yufeng and her daughter still making trouble? Bai Songling rarely gossiped. After old Master Su fell, the two of them became well-behaved. They are around my father every day and have no time to trouble me. Yi Jioge said faintly. The Su family blamed Su Yufeng for bringing old Master Su, who had just come out of seclusion, to the Yi family to make trouble, causing trouble for them. Su Yufeng didn't have the backing of her maiden family. She could only put all her attention on the child in her belly and Yi Yuxuan. Yi Xianxia was now smart. Besides practicing alchemy every day, she went to communicate with the crown prince. Yi Mansion was unprecedentedly peaceful. Su Junqing is also very well behaved. Bai Songling said with some pity. He needs human blood to practice the bewitching skill. He won't be well behaved for long. Yi Jioge said and thought of something. Brother Wan and Yi Yu went to Hepu County for a long time. Did they find the evil practitioner? She had been busy with Imperial concubine Xi's affairs during this time and didn't have time to ask this. They have found a lot of important clues in Hepu County. It has been preliminarily confirmed that the evil practitioner is a middle-aged man. It is said that he is dressed like a scholar and looks very gentle and polite. Is there a portrait? Yi Jioge asked. Wan Ziang and others are looking for a painter to copy, but the paintings are not very similar. Bai Songling shook her head. This kind of person without specific facial features and only temperament was the most difficult to copy. It's a pity. It would be good if the portrait could be posted on the imperial notice. These days, people still had to rely on the imperial notice if they wanted to know anything. Ziang has informed all the county governments to post the imperial notice. Let the people be careful of this evil practitioner and watch their daughters well. They can't let them talk to strange men. It was said that after the imperial notice was posted, people were in a panic. Those who had daughters at home kept a close eye on them and didn't dare to let young girls go out alone. Very good. I believe it won't be long before Brother Wan and others find the whereabouts of the evil practitioner. Yi Jioge was very satisfied. Yes, but the most important thing now is the matter of Her Highness returning to the palace. The black poisonous earth dragon has been detoxified for Her Highness. Can you let Little Mute cultivate another one? Bai Songling had just seen the power of the black poisonous earth dragon. If imperial concubine she could take this and return to the palace, she would definitely be able to sweep away all the various poisons of the Empress. I'll ask him later. Yi Jioge also felt that it would be better for imperial concubine she to eat this. Can you let him make a few more? Bai Songling wanted to keep one for herself. This kind of thing is not easy to get. Although Little Mute looked very relaxed, Yi Jioge still felt that it was not so easy to raise such a thing. Just let him try. Bai Songling said unwillingly. What's there to try? You don't have to enter the palace. The Empress can't poison you. At worst, you can just wait until you enter the palace and take an ordinary poison testing pill in advance. Yi Jioge put the poison testing pill he refined last night into Bai Songling's hand and told him that little Mute wanted to use the black flygrass to cultivate the poisonous earth dragon. No problem, leave this matter to me. Bai Songling immediately agreed. It was just some black flygrass. There were plenty of it in the pharmacy under the Wangfu. Chapter 124. His Highness should be waking up soon, let's go back. Yi Jioge estimated that 10 minutes had passed. Let's go. Just as Bai Songling led Yi Jioge out of the hall, they saw Dongfang Ke and Uncle He walking towards them. You can really walk? Bai Songling exclaimed in surprise. Although she had heard Yi Jioge speak of it, she was still very shocked when she saw it for herself. Dongfang Ke nodded slightly towards Bai Songling, but his eyes were fixed on Yi Jioge. His deep eyes carried undisguised gratitude. If the Empress knew that your Highness had benefited from a disaster and recovered, she would definitely go crazy with anger. Yi Jioge laughed. That's right, noble consort, she has also recovered. This is truly a double blessing. Bai Songling nodded repeatedly. Dongfang Ke had originally wanted to bide his time and hide his injuries, but after hearing Yi Jioge's words, he immediately nodded. I will tell Imperial Father this good news. He had endured for so long, it was time to retaliate. Then I must quickly refine 2 more poison testing pills for you and noble consort Shi. Although the poison in Dongfang Ke's body had been cleared, eating another one could still suppress the spread of the Ice Spider King's poison. Right, hurry up. This matter cannot be delayed. Bai Songling nodded repeatedly. What poison testing pill? Dongfang Ke asked suspiciously. Yi Jioge and Bai Songling glanced at each other, both deciding to keep this matter a secret. As a result, Yi Jioge said, it's the kind of spiritual pill that I told noble consort Shi about last time that can help her detect poison. Alright, I still have things to do and will be leaving first. If you have anything else, come find me. Yi Jioge was afraid that Dongfang Ke would pursue the matter further and quickly ran back to the courtyard to order 2 poisonous earth dragon parasites from Little Mute. Little Mute was extremely enthusiastic about this order and immediately had Yi Jioge bring him back to the previous manor to choose another batch of ordinary poisonous earth dragon parasites. The next morning, he gave the 2 poisonous earth dragon parasites to Yi Jioge and obtained 2 spiritual beast pills. Yi Jioge stuffed the poisonous earth dragon parasites into the pills and had Bai Songling give them to Dongfang Ke and noble consort Shi. In a single night, the news of Dongfang Ke's recovery spread throughout Shangjing, and the imperial harem was no exception. Within the Fengyi Palace, the main hall was brightly lit. However, the eunuchs and palace maids were not present. Only a black-clothed and masked man was kneeling in the center of the main hall. The Empress sat on the phoenix throne with a frosty expression on her face. She stared coldly at her secret guard and asked, how did that bastard Dongfang Ke suddenly walk? I'm still investigating, but I haven't found out who cured him yet, the dark guard quickly replied. Then continue to investigate, the queen said calmly. Actually, she was not very concerned about Dongfang Ke's situation. So what if he could walk? The Snow Spider King's poison was not that easy to cure. She was more concerned about another question. You said that the bitch imperial consort She has recovered her appearance, and the emperor is going to the imperial temple to take her back to the palace? Yes, the emperor has scheduled to go to the imperial temple to offer incense in person tomorrow and bring imperial consort She back. The secret guard nodded. That bitch can actually recover her appearance. A ferocious expression flashed across the Empress' usually dignified face. Even the fine lines at the corner of her eyes appeared. She didn't kill Imperial Consort Shi back then because she wanted to see how long the Emperor could pamper Imperial Consort Shi's disgusting rotten face. She didn't expect Imperial Consort Shi to be so decisive and leave the palace before her face rotted. From then on, she avoided Xianwu Emperor. It had been 16 years. She thought that Imperial Consort Shi was hiding in the Imperial Temple to wait for death. She didn't expect that she would come back one day. Your Highness, what should we do now? The secret guard asked carefully. The emperor's matter was very well hidden. They didn't get the news in advance. It was too late to ruin it now. If she wants to return to the palace, then let her. I want to see how long she can be so arrogant. The empress clenched her fists, her red nails digging deep into her flesh. She could defeat imperial consort Shi once, so she could defeat her a second time. Since that bitch wanted to come back to die, then she would fulfill her wish. But this time, she definitely wouldn't let that bitch live. The secret guard didn't dare to reply and continued to quietly kneel in place, waiting for the empress's next order. The empress quickly regained her normal expression and asked the secret guard, "Is there still no news of Nurse Su?" The secret guard shook his head. The empress frowned. Ever since Nurse Su went out of the palace to kill Yi Jioge, there was no news of her. On the contrary, Yi Jioge recovered his appearance in the demon beast forest, returned home in style, and even hooked up with the Gong family. The empress suspected that the Gong family had secretly helped Yi Jioge get rid of Nurse Su, so she didn't dare to act rashly. When did Su Hansen say he will enter the capital? The empress asked again. Su Hansen was Nurse Su's Shixiang. This revenge could only be taken by him to the Gong family. Anyway, she didn't want to intervene. Su Darren said he hasn't played enough yet. He still wants to wait a few more days. The secret guard hesitated for a moment before continuing. This subordinate saw Su Darren in Hepu County. He killed several more women. This subordinate burned the station to stop the letters sent to the Ministry of Justice. These brainless lunatics. The empress hated those evil cultivators the most. They didn't know how to wipe their mouth after eating. Although the people they killed were all lowly people like ants, it would still be difficult to clean up the mess if the news spread. Nevertheless, no matter how angry she was, she still had to clean up the mess. Bring 2 more people to Hepu County and tell him about Nurse Su's death. Tell him to go to the capital immediately. The empress ordered coldly. The secret guard nodded and immediately rushed to Hepu County after leaving the palace. It was late at night in Hepu County. In an uninhabited remote house, the trees in the yard were withered and emitting a moldy smell. Yiyu stood in the shadow against the wall. He tried his best to relax his body and let his spiritual power flow smoothly. During this period, he and Wan Xiang had been tracking down the evil cultivator and finally found where he stayed. Today, they were going to set a trap to catch him. Because the evil cultivator was very sensitive to spiritual power, Wan Xiang was hiding 2 streets away. The strategy that he discussed with Wan Xiang was to try their best to keep the evil cultivator occupied and wait for him to come to support. Although the evil cultivator was slightly stronger than Nurse Su, ever since Yiyu cultivated the technique given by Yi Jioge, his hiding ability had greatly improved. Especially after refining the yin qi that was unique to evil cultivators, he could even become one with the shadows. He was confident that he would not be discovered in advance by the evil cultivator, who was an advanced spiritualist. Just as Yiyu was constantly adjusting his state, a green figure flipped over the wall of the house and quietly landed in the courtyard. Chapter 125. Yiyu squinted his eyes and saw a man in a cyan robe. He had a pale face and no beard. He looked like a scholar, and he walked into the room with a black cloth bag. Without lighting up the lamp, the man poured the contents of the bag onto the bed. It was a 12-year-old girl. The little girl was chubby, and her skin was fair and tender. She was wearing a pink jacket with a small golden lock on it. It was obvious that she was from a rich family. "Humph, you stupid mortals. Do you think you can stop me from cultivating by posting the imperial list? That's ridiculous." The man sneered. His fair and gentle face became very distorted in the moonlight, and his eyes were glowing with a faint red light. He roughly tore the little girl's clothes apart and lowered his head to bite her neck. At this time, a cold light full of killing intent suddenly attacked him from behind. The man was shocked and instinctively mobilized his spiritual power to protect himself. Unfortunately, it was too late. The fierce attack pierced through his back before his protective spiritual light appeared, and blood splashed out. The man suddenly turned around and waved his palm at the attacker, but he found that there was nothing behind him. A shadow assassin. The man's face darkened, and his eyes were covered with a layer of red light. He searched the room carefully, but found nothing. It was impossible. His ghost eyes were very sensitive to spiritual power. How could he not find this shadow assassin? He immediately turned around and grabbed the little girl. He sneered and said, "Get out of here, or I'll kill this little girl." There was still no movement in the empty room. The man reached out his hand and grabbed the little girl's slender neck. His eyes were fixed on the corner of the room, so he didn't notice that the shadow of the little girl was changing. Yi Yu hid in the shadow of the little girl and secretly controlled the little girl's body. When the man was not paying attention, he once again used the skill he had learned after advancing to the next level to attack the man's chest. Puppet kill! The man focused all his attention on the outside, and he didn't expect that the hostage could attack him. When his chest was pierced by the strange shadow again, the man was shocked. He was seriously injured twice in a row, and he was scared out of his wits. The scariest thing was that he still hadn't discovered where the enemy was. In his panic, he did not dare to stay any longer. He threw the little girl aside and ran away. Yi Yu staggered out of the shadows. His face was as white as a ghost. The two attacks just now had exhausted all of his spiritual power. He stretched out his hand to catch the little girl, who collapsed to the ground. Fortunately, the little girl did not suffer any serious injuries. Yi Yu placed her in a corner and took out one of the spirit recovery pills that Yi Jioga had given him. Dense spirit energy filled his dantian. Yi Yu's eyes lit up. He immediately got up and followed the aura left behind by the green-robed evil cultivator. Although Wan Xiang had told him not to act on his own, it would be difficult to find the green-robed evil cultivator in the future if he didn't chase after him now. By the time Wan Xiang arrived at the house, there was only the unconscious little girl in the house. That damned Yu, how dare he act on his own? Wan Xiang's face darkened with anger. Previously, he had already made an agreement with Yi Yu that if they could not make the evil cultivator stay, they would wait for him to come over and think of a solution together. In the end, he actually chased after the evil cultivator himself. Yi Yu's real level was only that of an intermediate spiritualist. Even with the spirit recovery pills that Yi Jioga had given him, it was impossible for him to kill the evil cultivator. Wan Xiang looked around carefully, but he could not tell which direction Yi Yu had gone. He could only send the little girl back to the yamen first. At this moment, two strange auras suddenly came from outside the house. Wan Xiang jumped onto the beam with the little girl and hid himself. He saw two men in black climbing over the wall of the courtyard and respectfully reporting to the house. "Sir Su, wet nurse Su is missing. The Empress invites you to the capital as soon as possible to discuss an important matter." "Sir Su? So the evil cultivator's surname is Su. He is indeed with the Empress." Wan Xiang squinted his eyes. After putting the little girl on the beam, he mobilized his spiritual power and was ready to attack. The two men in black were wondering why Sir Su did not respond. When they were about to enter the house to check on the situation, they saw two red lights flying out of the house and hit their acupuncture points. Wan Xiang jumped out of the house, only to find that the two men in black saw that the situation was not good and had already killed themselves with the poison in their teeth. The Empress is indeed ruthless. Wan Xiang carefully examined the two men in black. Although he didn't find any clues on them, but from what they said just now, he could infer that the evil cultivator surnamed Su must have gone to Shangjing. After Wan Xiang hurriedly sent the little girl to the yamen, he immediately rushed to the capital to find Yi Jioga. At this moment, Yi Jioga was in the Violet Forest Park concocting a bone-nourishing pill for Yi Rui. During this period of time, the little lass's body was growing and she often felt that her bones were aching. Yi Jioga planned to refine some bone-nourishing pills for her. He didn't expect to receive an urgent message from Wan Xiang right after he finished refining the elixir, saying that Yi Yu had disappeared. Yi Jioga didn't even have time to change his clothes and hurriedly went to the Yu Wu tea house. He saw Wan Xiang sitting on a chair. He was travel-worn, his face was full of fatigue, and there were dark circles under his eyes. It seemed that he had just rushed over from Hepu County. Bai Songling, who was sitting next to him, also looked solemn. "Why is Yi Yu missing?" Yi Jioga sat down and asked. After we found the evil cultivator's place, we agreed to deal with him together. I didn't expect that Yi Yu would chase after him without permission. Wan Ziang frowned. Could he have been taken away by the evil cultivator? Yi Jioga was most worried about this. No, there was only the evil cultivator's blood in the house, not Yi Yu's. Yi Yu must have used the secret skill on the evil cultivator twice, then ate the spirit recovery pill and forced himself to chase after him. Wan Ziang recounted the scene, including the 2 men of sacrifice sent by the Empress. Why is the Empress in such a hurry to find this evil cultivator surnamed Su? Yi Jioga thought of another question when he heard that Yi Yu was fine. What else can he do besides harm people? No, logically speaking, Yi Yu should have exhausted his spiritual power after using the secret skill twice. How can he still have the strength to chase after that evil cultivator Su? Bai Songling asked doubtfully. A normal spirit recovery pill could only restore 30% of spiritual power at most. Could it be that the spirit recovery pill that Yi Yu ate was especially powerful? Although the spirit recovery pill made by Miss Yi is only a level 2 elixir, its efficacy is comparable to a high level 3 elixir. Wan Ziang nodded. However, no matter how powerful the spirit recovery pill was, it could only quickly restore spiritual power. It could not do anything about the essence, qi, and spirit. That was why he was so worried about Yi Yu. Chapter 126. How many recovery pills do you have left? Bai Songling asked Wan Ziang. He remembered that Yi Jioga had given him 2 bottles of this pill, but Wan Ziang had taken it all for himself. Is this the time to talk about this? Wan Ziang glared at Bai Songling. Yi Yu's life and death were unknown, but this money grubber only remembered to ask about the spirit recovery pill. What did this make Yi Jioga think? Bai Songling smiled awkwardly and said, I'm just worried that Yi Yu's spirit recovery pill isn't strong enough, so I asked you to take one to study. You don't have to worry about that. There's absolutely no problem with the pills I've refined. Yi Jioga waved his hand and said, since Yi Yu isn't injured, then he should be fine. I'll use the secret signal to contact him later. She was very confident in Yi Yu's ability to protect himself. That's good. In addition to worrying about Yi Yu's safety, Wan Ziang was also worried that Yi Jioga would blame him. After all, he was the one who borrowed Yi Yu. He felt very guilty for not being able to return him to Yi Jioga in one piece. If there's nothing else, I'll be heading back first. Yi Jioga spoke straightforwardly, but he was still very worried about Yi Yu. We're done here. You can go back. If you find Yi Yu, let us know. Although Bai Songling still had a lot of questions to ask Yi Jioga, she didn't dare to waste her time when she saw her anxious look. After Yi Jioga left the Misty Rain tea house, he returned to the Purple Forest Park and changed into his nocturnal clothes. Then he went out to look for Yi Yu. According to Wan Ziang, the evil cultivator with the surname Su should have escaped back to Shangjing and was likely to find the Empress. Yi Jioga searched around the palace but did not find the Yi family's secret signal. Finally, he found a clue at the city gate. Following the signal that Yi Yu left behind, she finally arrived near the entrance of the Su family mansion. Why did Yi Yu come here? Was he chasing after the evil cultivator with the surname Su, or did he come to find Su Junqing? Yi Jioga looked up and saw red lanterns hanging in the Su family mansion. The bright candlelight illuminated the entrance very brightly. Although it was already dark, there were still many carriages parked in front of the gate. They were all here to visit Old Master Su. Although Old Master Su fell into a coma after coming out of seclusion, his spirit master cultivation was still there. Those who wanted to suck up to the Su clan still came in an endless stream. There were people who gave him elixirs, folk prescriptions, and wandering doctors. In short, there was everything. She hadn't visited him since he fainted for so long. Yi Jioga turned invisible and nimbly jumped over the wall to enter the Su family's residence. She glanced around and found that the small building in the middle was the brightest. There were many servants going in and out. It should be the residence of an important person, so she quietly walked towards it. Yi Jioga's guess was right. This was Old Master Su's residence. At this moment, old Master Su was lying on the bed with his eyes closed. His complexion looked good and he looked like he was in deep sleep. The members of the Su family surrounded great-grandfather Su's bed and served him personally, showing their filial piety. Su Junqing was also at the side, and his handsome face was full of worry. Yi yi shi shi yu tian. Sheng for him. Yi, chiu for yi. Su yi, shao yi song su su to you. But, do you feel sorry for him? Zisheng asked. Why would I feel sorry for him? Yi Jioge wanted the old man to die. Then why are you asking? Zisheng didn't understand. Yi Jioge didn't appreciate his help. I'm worried that you'll be exposed. Yi Jioge rolled her eyes. Although Zisheng's demonic technique was well hidden, it was hard to guarantee that no one would notice. You should worry about yourself. Zisheng's voice was cold. This idiot was questioning his ability. She didn't know what was good for her. What do you mean? Yi Jioge wanted to ask, but Zisheng ignored her. A fat middle-aged man said to Su Junqing, Junqing, your grandfather has been unconscious for so long. Even the doctors in the palace can't tell. What should we do? This man was Su Junqing's father, Su Yongming. Although he was the eldest son of the Su family, his aptitude wasn't outstanding. He was also very mediocre. If he didn't have a capable son like Su Junqing, he would have been suppressed by his siblings. Father, don't worry. The doctors have already seen him. They said that grandfather is fine. He will wake up after a while. Su Junqing still had the appearance of a modest young master. I hope so. Su Yongming wrinkled his face. He looked even older than old Master Su, who was lying on the bed. He looked like a good-for-nothing. Su Junqing's eyes flashed with disgust and disdain, but he quickly lowered his eyes. He used the excuse that he had to entertain guests and left the courtyard. He walked to a place where there was no one. His refined and handsome face immediately became very ugly. He punched the rock on the rockery and shattered it. Ever since grandfather fainted, the Su family was in a mess. That useless father only knew how to sigh. Don't look at the Su family's beautiful appearance. In fact, it was already very dangerous. The people outside used the excuse of visiting to find out about old Master Su's condition. If the Su family showed the slightest weakness, they would immediately rush up and bite the Su family into pieces. Although he told the outside world that his grandfather had advanced too quickly and was in a deep sleep, Dongfang Ke was secretly manipulating the public opinion. He said that the Su family coveted Yun Tianwei's wealth and wanted to kill Yi Jioge. That was why they provoked Yun Tianwei's friends to attack his grandfather. Now, many people were secretly saying that the Su family deserved it and were waiting to see them become a joke. Su Junqing thought of those cold words and his chest started to heave up and down. But he quickly calmed himself down. There was no use thinking about it now. He had to quickly become stronger, to the point where no one would dare to offend his Su family. Su Junqing thought of this and hurriedly arrived at a remote house in the Su family. Yi Jioge secretly followed behind him. She jumped onto the roof and lifted the tiles to look down. She discovered that it was a very simple house. After Su Junqing entered the house, he lifted up a lotus painting on the wall and pressed down on a brick behind it. The wall flipped backwards, revealing a dark room. A faint light was revealed, causing Su Junqing's shadow to grow. Yi Jioge squinted her eyes. She discovered that Su Junqing's shadow was a little strange. She immediately opened her spiritual eye to take a look and almost cursed it out loud. Yi Yu, that extremely daring fellow, was actually hiding in Su Junqing's shadow. He was simply playing with fire. Su Junqing did not expect that there would be someone hiding in his shadow. As long as he looked carefully, he would immediately discover it. Chapter 127. At this moment, Su Junqing didn't notice anything unusual and stepped into the secret room. Yi Yu hid in his shadow and followed him in. Yi Jioge looked at the closed secret door and her heart jumped to her throat. That evil practitioner was probably in the secret room. If Su Junqing talked to him about the process of getting injured, he might guess Yi Yu's special ability and Yi Yu would be in danger. But if she barged in now, she might miss some secret. She swayed left and right and couldn't decide what to do. Forget it, she would give Yi Yu the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. That was also the longest time Yi Yu could stay invisible. If Yi Yu didn't come out by then, she would think of a way to barge in and save him. But it wasn't wise to fight Su Junqing head-on now. She had to use some tricks. Yi Jioga sneaked into old Master Su's courtyard to make some arrangements before returning to that room. The 30 minutes was getting closer and closer. Yi Jioga was considering whether to go in and save him now when the door of the secret room opened. Su Junqing walked out with a faint smell of blood. Yi Yu was still in his shadow, but it didn't look good. Yi Jioga could feel that Yi Yu's invisibility ability was about to disappear and he was in danger of being discovered at any time. Su Junqing seemed to have noticed something and his footsteps started to slow down. Although there was no expression on his face, his eyes showed that he was in a state of alertness. At this moment, there was a sudden commotion in the Su family. Fire, fire! Following that, a pillar of fire shot into the sky from old Master Su's residence. It looked especially terrifying. Su Junqing's expression changed and immediately rushed towards old Master Su's residence, fearing that the last life-saving charm of the Su family would be harmed. Yi Yu took the opportunity to escape from his shadow. Let's go! Yi Jioga jumped down from the house and rushed out of the Su family as fast as she could while holding Yi Yu's hand. Su Junqing rushed to old Master Su's courtyard. He found that the flame was just a bluff. It was just a corner ignited by kerosene and had been extinguished by the servants. He secretly cursed and immediately returned to that remote house. He carefully checked the inside and outside of the house but didn't find anything unusual. He pondered for a moment, then took out a small porcelain bottle, opened it, and blew on the ground. A layer of red powder fell to the ground, revealing 2 footprints, one big and one small. It was obvious that a man and a woman had stopped here just now. Su Junqing's expression was solemn as he sprinkled the red powder on the floor of the darkroom. This time, there were 2 footprints of slightly different sizes. One after the other, it was simply a matter of time. One of them was his, the other, doubtless, lurked in his shadow. Shadow assassin. Su Junqing narrowed his eyes and muttered to himself, I didn't expect that Kid Yi Yu to advance so quickly. I've underestimated him. However, this kid actually dared to come looking for trouble with me. He's courting death. Yi Yu had already seen the scene in the secret room, so he had to kill him to silence him. Also, the woman who took him away must be his accomplice. He had to find her too. After Yi Jioga brought Yi Yu away from the Su family, he originally wanted to bring him back to Purple Forest Park, but Yi Yu refused. Eldest miss, it's not convenient to go to your place. Let's go to my place. Yi Yu bought a small courtyard on the North Street, and only he lived there. It was indeed more convenient than the Yi residence. Yi Jioga and Yi Yu returned to his courtyard. You're going to die. You actually dared to sneak into the Su family. What if Su Junqing found out? Yi Jioga fiercely scolded. Su Junqing had an intimate relationship with Sister Yi Yu before, so he might have already learned about the Yi family's cultivation technique from her. As long as he thought about it carefully, it would not be difficult to discover the secret of Yi Yu advancing into a shadow assassin. I'll be careful next time, Yi Yu weakly said. His face was pale, and his eyes were black as if he had been beaten. His body was on the verge of collapse, and it was obvious that his spirit had been overdrawn. Seeing him like this, Yi Jioga could not bear to continue scolding him. He took out a bottle of Peiyuan Dan and stuffed it into Yi Yu's hands. Quickly eat it. After Yi Yu swallowed the Dan, he immediately felt his whole body relax, and the exhaustion he felt began to subside. He silently put the jade bottle into his clothes. The eldest Mrs. Pills were all good, and he must cherish them. Seeing that Yi Yu had recovered, Yi Jioga asked, What did you see when you followed Su Junqing into the secret room? Yi Yu's face was solemn, and he slowly said, I saw the corpse of that evil cultivator called Su Hansen. Corpse? What do you mean? That evil cultivator was killed by you? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows and asked. Didn't they say that the evil cultivator was an advanced spiritualist? Even if Yi Yu's sneak attack was successful, he would not have killed him. I didn't kill him, it was Su Junqing. Yi Yu said word by word. Su Junqing? Yi Jioge was shocked and he asked, why did he kill that Su Hansen? Weren't they together? They were indeed together. That Su Hansen was Su Junqing's senior brother, but when Su Junqing saw that his senior brother was injured, he did not want to save him. Instead, he killed him to cultivate. Yi Yu recalled how Su Junqing sucked his blood just now, and his stomach began to churn. Who would have thought that such a handsome man would turn out to be a cruel, heartless, and insane pervert? Su Junqing killed his fellow disciple. Isn't he afraid that other disciples will find out? Yi Jioge felt that it was a little unbelievable. No matter how evil a cultivator was, he would not kill his fellow disciple like that. From the looks of it, Su Junqing is planning to push this crime onto someone else. Needless to say, this someone was naturally Wan Ziang. Su Junqing's wishful thinking is very good. Not only can he increase his cultivation, but he can also get rid of Wan Ziang, the thorn in his side. Yi Jioge had a deeper understanding of Su Junqing's shamelessness. We must not let Su Junqing succeed. Yi Yu gritted his teeth. Unfortunately, that Su Hansen is already dead, and there is no evidence now. This is really difficult. Yi Jioge shook his head. If Su Hansen's fellow disciples were here, they would definitely believe Su Junqing's words. Yi Yu was silent. He suddenly felt that him and Wan Ziang ambushing Su Hansen was simply a joke. They did not get anything out of him, and instead, they gave Su Junqing a big meal. Don't think too much, this is not your fault. Who knew that Su Junqing would be so abnormal? Yi Jioge saw that Yi Yu was depressed, so he comforted him. No matter what, Su Hansen is dead, and there is one less evil person. Yi Yu nodded his head. He could only comfort himself like this. Compared to Su Junqing, who did things in secret, Su Hansen, who had no taboo, was more lethal, and indeed could not be left alive. Chapter 128. Brother Wan is very angry that you left the group and went after him on your own. Find a time to apologize to him and don't act on your own again. Yi Jioge didn't want to leave a knot between them because of this. I'll go find Wan Ziang later. Yi Yu also knew that it was wrong of him to act on his own. Putting himself in Wan Ziang's shoes, if Wan Ziang went after him without saying a word, he would be worried too. Also, stay away from Su Junqing during this period of time. You can't get close to him, understand? Yi Jioge warned him seriously. After Su Junqing killed his senior brother, his cultivation would definitely increase greatly. It would be dangerous for Yi Yu to follow him. Yi Yu lowered his long eyelashes and didn't say anything. The clue to find his sister was still on that pervert Su Junqing. It was impossible for him to stay away from Su Junqing. Seeing Yi Yu like this, Yi Jioge didn't ask anymore. Instead, she brought up another matter, right? Where is your Yi clan's treasure map? Although she had made a deal with Yi Yu to get the treasure map after helping him eliminate the Su clan. But judging from the current situation, the Su clan, the Empress, and the evil cultivators behind them were all here for the treasure map. It wouldn't be suitable for Yi Yu to keep it. Anyway, she would definitely deal with the Su clan, so it was reasonable for her to get paid in advance. It's on me. Yi Yu pulled out a red rope from his neck without hesitation. There was a black cloth bag hanging from it. He knew that he couldn't keep this treasure map. Rather than the Su clan and the crown prince taking it away, it was better to give it to Yi Jioge. Even if Yi Jioge couldn't help him eliminate the Su clan, she was worthy of this treasure map based on the help she had given him. Yi Jioge took the red rope and opened the bag. There was a key made of bronze inside. There were some exquisite carvings on the key. It looked like an ornament. Yi Jioge held the key and twisted it left and right. With a click, it was split into two. The head of the key was connected to a thin blade that shone with a cold light. The bottom was hollow, and there was a ball of silk that was as thin as a cicada's wing. Yi Jioge took out the silk and looked at it. There were mountains and rivers on it. It was obviously a map. At this time, Zishang said faintly, "It's fake." How could it be fake? No matter how Yi Jioge looked at it, he felt that Yi Yu's treasure map was exactly the same as the crown prince's in terms of material, ink, and other aspects. Do you think that I am lying to you? Zishang's voice was somewhat cold. You wouldn't lie to me, Yi Jioge immediately said. However, she did not think that Yi Yu would lie to her. It was very likely that Yi Yu did not know that this treasure map was fake. Yi Jioge thought as he looked up at Yi Yu. This treasure map is fake, Yi Yu said in a low voice. Why did you give me a fake map? Yi Jioge put the fake map back into the key and threw it to Yi Yu. Eldest miss, please don't be angry, Yi Yu picked up the copper key and said in a low voice. The fake map inside this key is a smokescreen used by the Yi family to deceive outsiders. The real map is actually in my flesh. If it's dangerous to take it out, then forget it. Yi Jioge felt uncomfortable when he heard the word, flesh. To her, the assassin Yi Yu was much more important than the treasure map. It's not dangerous. Yi Yu smiled and twisted the key again. Then, he used the thin sharp blade on the head of the key to cut the inside of his arm. Then, he picked out a long strip of beeswax from his flesh and handed it to Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge did not take it. Instead, he lowered his head to look at Yi Yu's wound. It's just a small wound. It's not a big deal. Yi Jioge's cutting speed was very fast and precise, so there was not much blood. Only then did Yi Jioge accept the beeswax. After crushing it, he took out the silk inside. This time, Zishang did not say anything. It seemed that this was the real deal. In fact, this map was very similar to the fake one from before. The only difference was that the silk used was not the same. The fake map was slightly darker in color, but it was hard to tell if they were not placed side by side. Actually, our Yi family has a total of 2 copies of the treasure map. One is with me and the other is with my sister. Only by using the cold copper plate on this key can we pick out the beeswax. Using any other method will cause the beeswax to dissolve and destroy the treasure map, Yi Yu said. This was what his father told him on the night of the family's extermination. Before this, the two of them did not know that the family's treasure map was hidden in their flesh. If Su Junqing knew that the treasure map he yearned for was with Yi Yunji, I wonder if he would regret sending her away. Yi Jioge could not help but reveal a sarcastic smile. I believe that my sister will want to tell him personally. A dark light flashed in Yi Yu's eyes. Don't worry, your sister will definitely have the chance. Yi Jioge patted Yi Yu's shoulder and put away the map. Yi Yu nodded. He put the fake map back into the bronze key and prepared to hang it around his neck. At this time, Yi Jioge suddenly reached out and took the fake map. He said, Wait a minute, I have a good idea. What good idea? Yi Yu asked. Later, bring this fake map to Wan Xiang and tell him that it was taken from the heretic cultivator Su Hansen. Then, have him offer it to the emperor. Yi Jioge moved closer to Yi Yu's ear and instructed. Yi Yu's eyes immediately lit up when he heard Yi Jioge's words. Using Xian Wu Emperor to deal with the heretic cultivator was a good idea. Remember what I said. Stay away from Su Junqing so that you don't alert the enemy. Yi Jioge warned Yi Yu again. I know. Yi Yu nodded. It's good that you know. It's getting late. I'll go back first. You rest well before you go find Wan Xiang, Yi Jioge said as he stood up. Eldest miss, be careful on the road. Yi Yu wanted to send Yi Jioge back, but was refused. I have hands and feet. I don't need you to send me back. You just need to rest well. After that, he left at an extremely fast speed. Yi Yu returned to his room but did not sleep immediately. Instead, he sat at the table and pondered. The dim yellow light shone on his smooth and beautiful face. The red mole between his eyebrows shone even more brightly. In fact, he had heard some things about Su Junqing and Su Hansen in the secret room. They both came from a heretic sect called the Bloodthirsty Sect. The heretic sect was located in a mountain 3,000 miles to the west. Su Junqing had offered his sister to the sect as a tribute. Yi Yu looked up at the dark sky palace and made up his mind. After helping Yi Jioge settle the matters here, he would go there to find clues about his sister. At this time, in the Blood Cloud Peak, 3,000 miles away from Shangjing, there was a gloomy cave filled with small black lamps. There was no oil in the small lamps. Dark red candlelight floated on the lamps. At this time, a small lamp suddenly went out. The name under the lamp was Xianxia. Chapter 129. Motherf *Ker, even old Su died. A short man's expression changed when he saw Xianxia's extinguished soul lamp. He immediately carried the soul lamp through one dark tunnel after another until he arrived at the door of a large cave. There were 2 guards at the door. When they saw him rush over, they smiled and said, "Skinny monkey, why are you in such a rush?" "Not good, old Su's soul lamp extinguished," Skinny Monkey said anxiously. The 2 guards glanced at each other, their expressions somewhat solemn. One of the guards said to Skinny Monkey, "Wait here, I'll go in and report to the ancestor." Skinny Monkey obediently waited where he was. A moment later, the guard came out and let Skinny Monkey in. Skinny Monkey tidied up his clothes and walked into the ancestor's cave with the soul lamp. The cave was extremely luxurious. There was a red carpet on the floor, and it was filled with good wine and delicacies. Night pearls hung from the ceiling. There was a large, soft couch at the top, and a beautiful woman wearing a red veil was lying on it. A skinny old man was lying on top of her, burying his head in the woman's neck and greedily sucking her blood. Skinny Monkey smelled the blood with spirit energy and couldn't help but gulp. He raised his head and peeked at the veiled woman. Her skin was as white as jade, and her facial features were exquisite. Her long eyelashes were like little fans, and there was a red beauty mark between her eyebrows. After the black-clothed old man sucked enough blood, he got up from the woman and looked at Skinny Monkey. His face was skinny like a dried corpse, and his eyes were sunken in. There was an indescribable ruthlessness to him, and his body gave off a thick smell of blood. This old man was called Bloodthirsty Ancestor. He was a high-level spirit master and was only 1 step away from becoming a great spirit master. He was the most terrifying existence in this mountain. He used the bewitching art and blood spirit art to create bloodthirsty sect. He took in many disciples and taught them evil techniques. He had them go find women with spirit roots to be his blood slaves. The veiled woman pulled up her clothes and obediently knelt by the old man's feet. Her head was still on his thigh, and she looked like a cute Persian cat. The old man stroked the woman's soft hair in satisfaction. He looked up at the Skinny Monkey and asked, "What's the matter?" "Old ancestor, Xianxia's soul lamp has been extinguished." Skinny Monkey stepped forward and respectfully placed the soul lamp on the table in front of the old ancestor. Forefather Bloodthirsty picked up the soul lamp and glanced at it. His wizened face beamed a sinister smile as he said coldly, "Shangjing is really a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. 2 of my disciples died." Bloodthirsty's forefather put down the soul lamp and asked, "What did Su Junqing say?" "Ancestor, Su Junqing has sent a letter saying that a few spiritualists from the Ministry of Justice have discovered that he is collecting young girls. They have been pestering him and saying that Yun Tianwei's granddaughter, Yijioga, is always opposing him. Thus, he wants to ask Ancestor to send a few disciples with high cultivation to support him." The thin monkey-like person respectfully said, He can't even deal with a few spiritualists. Su Junqing is really trash." Bloodthirsty's forefather sneered. "Ancestor is right. However, Su Junqing is cultivating alone and can't receive guidance from Ancestor, so his cultivation is naturally lacking. Ancestor, please forgive him this time for the sake of his filial piety. After all, his status in the Su family is quite beneficial to our bloodthirsty sect." The thin monkey-like person flattered. Although the spiritual ladies that Su Junqing sent back were all enjoyed by the forefather, the taste of the other girls was not bad. Speaking of Su Junqing's filial piety, Bloodthirsty's forefather couldn't help but look down at the veiled beauty with a satisfied expression. He then ordered, "All right, call Lu Yunfei over." "Ancestor, you want to send senior sister Lu Yunfei out?" The thin monkey-like person was shocked. Although that woman's cultivation was the same as his, an advanced spiritualist, she was not someone to be trifled with. Most of the people in Bloodthirsty sect were men, so they usually used women's blood to cultivate. Women with spiritual roots were their favorite. For a woman like Lu Yunfei to be able to gain a foothold in bloodthirsty sect, it went without saying how powerful she was. That's right. Didn't Su Junqing want to find someone with a high cultivation? There is no one more suitable than Lu Yunfei. Bloodthirsty's forefather waved his hand and said, "Go quickly." The thin monkey-like person quickly retreated. Not long after, a girl wearing a pink dress walked in. She looked to be around 16 years old and had a cute appearance. When she smiled, there were 2 dimples on her face. When she walked, she bounced up and down like an innocent girl. What orders does Ancestor have for Lu Yunfei? Lu Yunfei blinked her big eyes and asked Bloodthirsty's forefather. Su Hansen and Nanny Su's soul lamps are extinguished. Go to Shangjing and refine the people who killed them. Then, help Su Junqing finish the task I gave him. Also, bring back that girl called Yijioga. She is Yun Tianwei's granddaughter. She must taste good. Bloodthirsty's forefather revealed a gloomy expression. He couldn't help but rub the veiled woman's hair a little harder. Meow. The veiled woman suddenly let out a meow. Then, she hit Bloodthirsty's forefather unhappily and turned her head away. Little treasure, it's my fault. I was too engrossed in my thoughts and accidentally hurt my little treasure. Bloodthirsty's forefather wasn't angry when she hit him. Instead, he smiled and coaxed the veiled woman. The veiled woman slowly turned around and rested her head on Bloodthirsty's forefather's thigh. Her watery eyes met Lu Yunfei's. Lu Yunfei looked at the red mole between the veiled woman's eyebrows. She suddenly pointed at her and said to Bloodthirsty's forefather, "Forefather, after I bring back that Yijioga, can you give her to me?" "You want her?" Bloodthirsty's forefather asked curiously. "Yes, I like her face and that red mole. I want to peel off her skin for my collection." Lu Yunfei revealed an innocent smile. "You just like to collect the skin of beauties." Bloodthirsty's forefather smiled lovingly. Then he nodded and said, "When you finish your mission and come back, I should have sucked dry her spirit blood. Then you can have her." "No, if you suck dry her spirit blood, she'll become trash. Why would I need to peel her skin?" Lu Yunfei pouted and moved her feet. She looked like she didn't want to wear anything. "I won't suck anymore. You can have it all." Bloodthirsty's forefather was very lenient to his capable subordinates. "Okay, then it's settled." Lu Yunfei bowed slightly and winked at the veiled beauty. She smiled and said, "Be good and wait for me to come back." The veiled woman didn't react from beginning to end. It was as if she didn't understand what they were saying. Her misty eyes didn't have any light at all. Lu Yunfei didn't care. She waved at the veiled woman and skipped out of the room. She looked in the direction of Thunder Country and revealed a bloodthirsty smile. She said darkly, "Yijioga, right? I want to see what you can do." Then her figure flashed and disappeared. Chapter 130. Yijioga didn't know that a perverted woman was thinking about him. By the time she returned to Purple Forest Park, it was already dawn. She slept until noon. When Mother Qing came in to serve, she couldn't help but mutter, "Miss, why do you have to go out at night to do something?" "Of course it's something important. Don't ask." Yijioga doesn't want to bring outside matters into Purple Forest Garden. Mother Qing only needs to help her manage the courtyard. Alright. Mother Qing saw that eldest young miss didn't want to talk about it, so she changed the topic and said, "Eldest young miss, Yudi and Hua Dai's aptitude is pretty good. This old servant intends to let them officially cultivate. What grade of bone-opening medicine do you think is better?" Bone-opening medicine was the first step of cultivation. A good bone-opening medicine could stabilize a cultivator's meridians, and in the future, cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. However, good bone-opening medicines were not cheap. Normally, it would be good if a large family could buy a set of middle-grade medicine to nurture their own subordinates. There's no need to buy them. I'll concoct the bone-opening medicine for them. Yijioga had a pretty good impression of these 2 maidservants. Although she doesn't have a spiritual root, she can still be a good helper to Mother Qing if she cultivates well. After all, Mama Qing was old, and Yijioga wanted her to enjoy her old age in peace. Then this old servant will thank you on behalf of the two young maidservants. Mother Qing said with a smile. In her heart, eldest young miss was an even better alchemist than master. To be able to have the eldest miss personally concoct the bone-opening medicine, it was truly a great fortune. Call Hua Dai and Yu Dai in. I'll check their bones first. Yi Jioge had to examine them properly before he could concoct the bone-opening medicine. Yes, this old servant will go and call them in. Mother Qing happily went out and called Hua Dai and Yu Dai in. When the two maidservants found out that the eldest young miss was going to personally concoct the bone-opening medicine for them, their faces were filled with unconcealable excitement. Yi Jioge helped them to check and he knew what was going on. In fact, the materials needed for the bone-opening medicine were very simple. They were all medicinal herbs used to temper the muscles and bones. The difference was in the dosage and the combination of certain medicinal herbs. For example, Hua Dai had a small frame but a lot of muscles. The amount of atractylodes macrocephala needed was relatively small, and some peony skin was also needed to increase bone density. The jade butterfly was the exact opposite of the flower butterfly. It had a large frame and less muscles. He needed to increase the dosage of atractylodes macrocephala and add some green bamboo leaves to strengthen his muscles. At this moment, Yi Jioge still didn't know that the bone-opening medicine he made for Yu Dai and Hua Dai almost killed them. With an idea in her mind, she quickly wrote 2 prescriptions for Mother Qing and asked her to pick up the medicine. Mother Qing happily put away the prescription. She planned to go get the medicine later and find a good day to open Hua Dai and Yu Dai's bones. Yi Jioge was still thinking about what he had discussed with Yi Yu last night, so he quietly went to Yi Yu's courtyard. However, he found that Yi Yu was not there. Instead, Wan Xiang and Bai Songling were there. Are you here for Yi Yu, young mistress? Bai Songling asked. Yeah, where did he go? Yi Jioge asked curiously. I don't know. We're waiting for him too. Bai Songling rolled his eyes and asked Yi Jioge with a smile. Did you know that Yi Yu brought a treasure map to us last night? I know, I was the one who asked him to take it. Yi Jioge also smiled and said, a treasure is a crime. Yi Yu and I are not people who do great things. It's best to give this treasure map to the emperor. Bai Songling didn't believe Yi Jioge's nonsense. If she was not a person who did great things, who else could do great things? Wan Xiang said seriously, I have already handed the treasure map that I seized from the evil cultivator Su Hansen to the emperor. The emperor should be very excited. Yi Jioge said clearly. The crown prince kept the treasure map in the dragon and phoenix jade pendant. It meant that he and the empress had been hiding this matter from the emperor. Now that she exposed the matter, she believed that the crown prince and the empress must be very nervous. Yes, the emperor has ordered the Ministry of Justice to thoroughly investigate the case of the evil cultivator harming people. There will be a big reward for catching the evil cultivator. Previously, the people of the Ministry of Justice didn't support Wan Xiang to investigate the evil cultivator. They felt that it was a waste of energy. Now that the emperor had issued an imperial edict, the people of the Ministry of Justice were eager to make a contribution in front of the emperor. With a big reward, Su Junqing will definitely not dare to be arrogant this time. Yi Jioge was happy when she thought that Su Junqing was going to be in trouble. Now that Emperor Xian had personally given the order, as long as they found evidence that Su Junqing cultivated evil arts, they would destroy his reputation. Leave Su Junqing's matter to us. The alchemy conference is going to be held in the Medicine Refinery Valley. What do you plan to do? Bai Songling asked. Nothing. Yi Jioge had never been interested in the competition. She preferred to quietly do research and concoct pills. I heard that the winner of this competition will be rewarded with an alchemy furnace from the weapon refining sect. It's worth 30,000 gold coins. Bai Songling felt that it was a pity that Yi Jioge didn't participate. In order to attract more alchemists, Emperor Xian Wu had always wanted to raise the standards of the Thunder Country's alchemy competition. Therefore, he put in a lot of effort this time. 30,000 gold coins? Yi Jioge's eyes lit up and said without hesitation, Okay, I will participate. Although she hated competitions, she didn't hate receiving awards. Other than the Thunder Country's alchemists, there will be many alchemists from other places participating in the competition. When the time comes, the trade fair will be very lively. You might be able to exchange for something good. Bai Songling revealed another piece of information. He and Dongfang Ke were very concerned about this alchemy competition. They hoped to find out more about the fire dragon grass from the alchemists who came from all over the world. After all, they needed the fire dragon grass to completely eradicate the poison in Dongfang Ke's body. Okay, let's go take a look. Yi Jioge was very interested in the trade fair. She could sell the blue jade seaweed that she had collected at the bottom of the lake. Oh right, your father, Grandmaster Yi, is one of the judges for this alchemy competition. He has a spot that can be guaranteed to the last round. Do you want to ask him? Although Bai Songling was very confident in Yi Jioge's alchemy skills, it would save a lot of effort if he could be guaranteed a spot in the last round. There's nothing to ask. He will definitely give the spot to Yi Xianxia. This was a definite thing. Yi Jioge didn't care about that spot. As long as Yi Yuxuan didn't bother her, she would be happy. Do you want to ask the Prince of Dongling to help you get a spot? Bai Songling asked. Although it was difficult to get a spot in the alchemy competition, it wasn't impossible as long as one worked hard. There's no need to go through so much trouble. I'll just kill my way in. Yi Jioge waved her hand. If she couldn't even pass the first few rounds, how could she bring the 30,000 gold cauldron home? Chapter 131. The first few tests weren't very difficult, there shouldn't be a problem. Bai Songling told him some news about the alchemy competition. Yi Jioge remembered it very carefully. After talking about the alchemy competition, Bai Songling thought of something else. By the way, Imperial Consort, she wants to invite you to the palace in 3 days. Why does she have time to see me? Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows and asked. Ever since Emperor Xianwu welcomed Imperial Consort Shi back with a 10-mile red carpet, he spoiled her to the core and even wanted to build a new palace for her. However, Imperial Consort Shi insisted on living in Jinxiu Palace, so Emperor Xianwu had the Ministry of Works work day and night to repair Jinxiu Palace. During this period, he arranged for Imperial Consort Shi to live in the side hall of his palace. This kind of love was unprecedented. Now people in Shangjing were talking about it. Her Highness misses you very much. If it wasn't for so many things before, she would have invited you to the palace long ago. Bai Songling said. When Imperial Consort Shi first entered the palace, it was indeed very messy, but now that Jinxiu Palace had been repaired, she had time to invite Yi Jioge to the palace to talk about the old days. Thank you for your love. Is she living well in the palace? Yi Jioge asked with concern. Although everyone said that Imperial Consort Shi was the most favored in the palace, it still depended on whether the Empress was up to no tricks. Very good. Since Her Highness returned, the Emperor hasn't stepped into the Empress Fengyi Palace. Bai Songling knew that Imperial Consort Shi could hold the Emperor firmly. Her Highness is in the limelight, but didn't the Empress say anything? Yi Jioge asked strangely. This wasn't in line with that vicious woman's usual behavior. Why not? The second day after her return, the Empress poisoned her. Fortunately, she discovered it in time. Not only did the Empress's scheme fail, but she was also defeated by her. Bai Songling looked at Yi Jioge gratefully. If she hadn't discovered the effect of the poisonous earth dragon, Imperial Consort Shi probably wouldn't have escaped the Empress's hands. Oh, how did she defeat the Empress? Yi Jioge asked with interest. Ask her after you enter the palace. Bai Songling smiled mysteriously. She believed that the Empress would want to tell Yi Jioge this good news personally. All right. Yi Jioge knew that Bai Songling was tight-lipped. He would never ask about things that he didn't want to say. Wan Xiang quietly listened to their conversation. Suddenly his expression changed. He waved his hand toward the left corner and shot out a red spirit light. He shouted, "Who is it?" I should be the one asking who you are, Yi Yu said in an annoyed tone as he revealed himself. These fellows had occupied his courtyard and even wanted to kill him. Was there any justice in this world? Where did you go? Yi Jioga saw that Yi Yu was still wearing night clothes and couldn't help but frown as he asked, "You couldn't have gone to find Su Junqing, right?" "I didn't go to the Su family. I just went to the Crown Prince's residence to see if he colluded with Su Junqing recently." Yi Yu said. The Crown Prince rarely stayed in the Eastern Palace. He usually stayed in the Crown Prince's manor outside. "What did you discover?" Yi Jioga asked. "The Crown Prince is in charge of the alchemy competition this time. He has been very close to Yi Shanshan recently. If you participate in the alchemy competition, you have to be careful of those two." When Yi Yu came in, he heard Yi Jioga talking about the alchemy competition. "Even if I don't participate in the alchemy competition, I will still be careful of those two. If the Crown Prince dared to make a move, Yi Jioga would definitely make him lose a mouthful of teeth." Yi Yu also knew Yi Jioga's ability, so he didn't say anything more. He looked at Wan Zhang and Bai Songling. "Why did you come to find me? I originally wanted to ask you about the treasure map, but there's no need for that now." Yi Jioga had already told Wan Zhang what he wanted to know. He was still worried about the Ministry of Justice, so he pulled Bai Songling to leave. Before leaving, Bai Songling repeatedly reminded Yi Jioga not to forget to go to the palace to see Imperial Consort Shi. Yi Jioga said that he would definitely go to the palace on time. After Wan Zhang and Bai Songling left, Yi Yu said to Yi Jioga, "According to my investigation, the alchemy competition has always been held in Shangjing. This time, it has been held in the Medicine Refining Valley. Furthermore, the Crown Prince volunteered to do it. I always feel that it's strange." "It is indeed a bit strange." Yi Jioga frowned slightly. The Crown Prince had always thought highly of himself and had never personally arranged such things. "Keep an eye on the Crown Prince. If there are any abnormalities, report to me immediately." In any case, the danger of keeping an eye on the Crown Prince was much lower than that of keeping an eye on Su Junqing. "All right." Yi Yu nodded. After sending Yi Jioga off, he snuck into the Crown Prince's residence. At this time, the Crown Prince was in the Fengyi Palace reporting to the Empress about the preparations for the alchemy competition. "Mother, everything in the Medicine Refining Valley has been prepared. We just need to wait for the alchemy competition to start," the Crown Prince respectfully replied. He had been busy with this matter during this period of time. He had only hurried back when he heard that Dongfang Ke, that bastard, had actually recovered from his injuries. Those court officials who had once wanted to support Dongfang Ke were beginning to stir. If it wasn't for his mother telling him that Dongfang Ke had been poisoned by the Spider King's poison and that there was no cure, he really wouldn't have been able to sit still. The Empress was wearing a long robe embroidered with phoenix feathers and sat upright on the phoenix throne. Her usually dignified and virtuous face was completely gloomy, as if she hadn't heard the Crown Prince's words. The Crown Prince stealthily glanced at the Empress. After thinking for a moment, he cautiously asked, "Could it be that Mother is angry on behalf of noble consort Shi? Is that slut worth this consort's anger?" The Empress's thin eyebrows jumped, her killing intent overflowing. "Mother is right. She's just a slut. So what if she has temporarily obtained Imperial Father's favor? As long as Mother uses a few methods, you will definitely be able to make her die without a burial." The Crown Prince tried to curry favor with the Empress. In these past years, there had been too many women who had mysteriously died in the palace. Even Dongfang Ke had not been able to escape his mother's poison. Thus, he was very confident in his mother. Unfortunately, no matter how he asked, his mother was unwilling to tell him just where she had gotten those mysterious poisons from. The Crown Prince felt that it was a bit of a pity. If he could also grasp the source of these poisons, then it would be easy to take care of those people he didn't like in the future. "Shut up." The Empress suddenly slammed the table, the anger on her face deepening. The Crown Prince's words had stabbed right into her sore spot. The poisons that had once been effective were now completely ineffective in front of noble consort Shi. She had even turned the tables on them. The Empress could only hope that Su Hansen could bring her something new. She hadn't expected that idiot to be killed by the Ministry of Justice before even entering the capital. He had even exposed his identity as an evil cultivator, and even the treasure map was known to the Emperor. "Mother, please calm your anger. I was wrong. Although the crown prince didn't know what he had said wrong, it was always right to quickly admit his mistake. The empress's chest heaved slightly, but she quickly restrained her anger. She looked down at the crown prince and said, "Bring Su Junqing into the palace tomorrow. This consort has something to ask him." She could only rely on Su Junqing to contact the bloodthirsty sect. Chapter 132. Mother, if you have anything to say, just let me convey it. Why do you have to see that despicable person? The crown prince hated Su Junqing to the core. Don't make me say the same thing twice. The empress's tone was cold and her sharp eyes were frightening. The crown prince's heart skipped a beat. He quickly cupped his hands and said, "I don't dare." "All right, you may leave." The empress waved her hand impatiently. She had been hiding her relationship with the bloodthirsty sect from the crown prince because she didn't want him to get involved. The disciples of the bloodthirsty sect were crazy and had no bottom line. They might kill themselves one day. If she hadn't wanted to deal with Bai Linglong and her son and that bitch, imperial consort she wouldn't have done this. It was all those damn guys' fault. The crown prince saw the empress's ferocious expression and didn't dare to ask more. He quickly left the palace and went to the Su family. "Welcome, Crown Prince. Please forgive me for not going out to greet you." Su Junqing bowed respectfully. The Crown Prince glanced at Su Junqing and said in a condescending manner, "You may rise." "Thank you, Crown Prince." Su Junqing straightened up. His handsome face was full of smiles. He didn't feel humiliated at all. This kid really knows how to act. The Crown Prince snorted in his heart and stepped back. He then said arrogantly, "Mother wants to see you. Tomorrow, pretend to be a little eunuch and follow me into the palace." Actually, with Su Junqing's identity, he could enter the palace openly, but the Crown Prince wanted to humiliate him this way. Which man in the world would be willing to pretend to be a eunuch? Su Junqing's eyes flashed coldly, but he quickly concealed it. He continued to ask respectfully, "May I ask why the Empress summoned me into the palace?" "Enter the palace when I tell you to. Why do you ask so many questions?" The Crown Prince narrowed his eyes. His sharp gaze was quite similar to the Empress's. "I overstepped my bounds. Please forgive me, Crown Prince." Su Junqing quickly bowed and apologized. "Okay, you prepare well. The Imperial Palace will send someone to pick you up tomorrow." The Crown Prince was too lazy to talk to Su Junqing, so he left after saying this. After Su Junqing saw the Crown Prince off, his handsome face immediately darkened. The Empress must have summoned him because of Su Hansen and the exposure of the treasure map. The situation in Shangjing had been complicated recently. The Ministry of Justice was arresting heretics everywhere. Since they couldn't catch the evil cultivator, they just randomly grabbed people to be their scapegoats, causing him to be unable to continue his business of selling virgin girls. Seeing that the delivery time was approaching, he began to worry. On the surface, he was the disciple of bloodthirsty ancestors' disciple. He was only a disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestors' disciple. Su Junqing didn't just want to cultivate. He also wanted to create a tense atmosphere in Shangjing so that Forefather Bloodthirsty would send more disciples with higher cultivation bases. This way, he could not only complete the ancestor's task, but he could also use to eliminate Wan Lord. He didn't know that the ancestor. If it was a useless idiot like Su Hansen, then don't blame me for using it to practice. Unless those people of Su, the same, his senior brothers and sisters in Kuden. Unless unless ancestor, ancestor not. Su either. The next day, the Crown Prince sent someone to pick up Su Junqing, but he didn't let him be a eunuch. The next day, the Crown Prince sent someone to pick up Su Junqing, but he didn't let him disguise himself as a eunuch. No matter how much the Crown Prince wanted to humiliate Su Junqing, he didn't dare to do so in front of the Empress. The Empress didn't sleep the entire night. Her face was gloomy as she sat on her throne like a statue. The palace maids and eunuchs of Frenyi Palace were so scared that they didn't even dare to breathe. The entire palace was as quiet as a tomb. It was only when the Crown Prince brought Su Junqing into the palace that it became lively. The Empress saw that Su Juanqing's expression was much better. She found an excuse and had the crown prince, the palace maids and eunuchs leave, leaving only Su Juanqing for questioning. The crown prince didn't expect that the Empress wouldn't even let him stay. Although he was unwilling, he didn't dare to disobey the Empress's orders. He could only blame this on Su Juanqing. This subordinate greets the Empress. Su Juanqing respectfully bowed to the Empress. At ease. The Empress raised her hand and went straight to the point. This consort needs a poison that can kill noble consort Xi and Dongfang Quebec. What does the Empress mean? Didn't Su Mommy give you a lot of poisons? Su Juanqing asked curiously. Su Mommy was an expert in poisons. After following the Empress for so many years, she should have a lot of poisons in her hands. Those poisons are useless against that bitch, noble consort Xi, the Empress said fiercely. She had tried all the poisons in her hands in the past few days. Not to mention noble consort Xi, she couldn't even poison Zhou Mami and Hong Xiu to death. She used to control the entire harem with these poisons, and everyone's life and death was in her hands. Now that she had lost this reliance, she was extremely unwilling and urgently wanted to take it back. It seems that noble consort Xi had a great opportunity and found a poison-repellent treasure. Su Juanqing was very confident in the poisons refined by the bloodthirsty sect. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to resolve them. It is indeed possible. In fact, the Empress also had such doubts and had already secretly sent people to investigate. However, Hong Xiu's defenses were too strict, and her people couldn't enter Splendid Palace to search at all. If only Mommy Su was here. She would definitely be able to help her investigate these matters clearly. Other than poison, the second thing the Empress wanted was a helper like Mommy Su. Thus, she said, have the bloodthirsty sect send another person for me. Empress, you also know that there are very few women in our sect. It's already very good to find a Mommy Su. It won't be easy to find another suitable person in a short period of time, Su Juanqing said while shaking his head. He was telling the truth. The remaining women of the bloodthirsty sect were all perverts, and it was impossible for them to serve the Empress. What's so difficult about it? After a while, I'll let the Emperor select women. I can help you get any kind of woman you want. If these aren't enough, I can also send people to look for them among the people. Now that you're being watched so closely by the Emperor, I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to do anything. With my help, I guarantee that you'll get half the result with twice the effort, the Empress said hurriedly. Previously, the people of the bloodthirsty sect also wanted her to help collect girls, but she only agreed to escort them and refused to do it herself. However, she couldn't care so much now. Su Juanqing was quite tempted when he heard this, but he couldn't agree on behalf of the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. He could only say, I'll send a messenger pigeon back to the sect to send your request. As for whether the ancestor will agree, I can't guarantee it. No, I want you to send a message to the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. Have him immediately send a female disciple into the palace to help me and bring a batch of useful poisons. The Empress sneered and said with a threatening tone, don't forget about the alchemy competition. If you can't satisfy my needs, don't blame me for turning against you. Chapter 133. Is the Empress threatening our bloodthirsty sect? Su Juanqing's face darkened and his aura became sharp. You were the ones who violated the agreement first. The Empress didn't back down. Back then, your bloodthirsty sect promised me this land. Now that it's going to fall into Dongfang K's hands, you still have the face to say this? Let me tell you, if you can't satisfy my demands, I'll announce what you've done to the world. I'd like to see how your Su family can survive in Thunder Country. The Empress's face was ferocious and her eyes were filled with madness. Empress, please calm down. Su Juanqing cupped his hands and hid the killing intent in his eyes. Go back and think about whether bloodthirsty sect or Su family is more important. The Empress called in a palace maid and eunuch. After Su Juanqing left the palace with an old eunuch, he slowly relaxed his clenched fists. The Empress had gone crazy. She didn't consider how dangerous it would be for noble consort Shi to act now and Dongfang Ke to drag the Su family down. It seemed like she couldn't keep this chess piece anymore. She had to think of a way to get rid of the Empress and Crown Prince. Su Junqing was about to get on the Su family's carriage when he suddenly saw a luxurious carriage used by the palace stop. Then, a beautiful woman wearing a light green dress with clouds and butterflies and her hair was combed into a flying fairy bun walked out of the car. Her eyebrows were deep and her eyes were like peach blossoms. Her cherry lips curled up and revealed a bright smile. She was like a fairy that had fallen to the mortal world. The surrounding people couldn't help but be attracted to her. Even the guards at the palace gate stared blankly at her. Next to this beauty was an ant wearing a red palace dress. It was noble consort Shi's main palace maid, Aunt Hongxiu. Su Junqing frowned. He heard from the crown prince that this Aunt Hongxiu was an intermediate martial artist with water spirit root. She was very difficult to deal with and was one of noble consort Shi's most capable subordinates. He didn't expect her to serve that beauty so respectfully. Who was that beauty? Miss Yi, slow down. Aunt Hongxiu's voice came from afar. Miss Yi, could it be Yi Jioga? Su Junqing couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Although he heard that Yi Jioga had recovered her appearance, he didn't think that she would be any better. He didn't expect her to be so beautiful. Bloodthirsty's forefather loved this face the most. If he could help the old ancestor bring the person back, not only would he be able to get rid of a huge threat, but he would also be rewarded by the old ancestor. It was really killing two birds with one stone. Su Junqing thought as he moved towards Yi Jioga. Miss Yi, there is a fly flying towards you. Aunt Hongxiu said sarcastically. Yi Jioga raised his head in surprise and saw a handsome young man wearing a white robe embroidered with gold edges walking towards him with a warm and friendly smile on his face. Yi Jioga couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect to meet a disgusting fellow like Su Junqing here. She didn't want to talk to Su Junqing, so she walked towards the palace gate without looking sideways. She didn't expect Su Junqing to block her path. He smiled and said, "Little Sister Jioga, how come you have time to enter the palace today?" When Yi Jioga heard this form of address, his scalp went numb and he almost vomited. Su Junqing, do we know each other very well? Yi Jioga looked at him with disdain. The only thing missing was the words, "You're so disgusting," written on his face. Little Sister Jioga, are you still blaming my grandfather for being reckless? Actually, it was my aunt and cousin who didn't know any better and instigated my grandfather to go to the Yi clan. I apologize on their behalf. I hope little Sister Jioga can forgive them. Su Junqing's voice was soft and his handsome face was full of sincerity. His eyes that were looking straight at Yi Jioga suddenly flashed with a strange red light. Yi Jioga suddenly felt a bit dizzy. She suddenly felt that she was making a big fuss over nothing. The ones who had enmity with her were old ancestors Su and Su Yufeng, not Su Junqing. How could she casually blame him? Little Sister Jioga, you look so beautiful dressed like this. You're like a fairy descending to the mortal world. Let's get closer in the future, okay? Su Junqing's voice was so soft that it seemed like water was about to drip out. Okay. Yi Jioga replied in a daze. Su Junqing still wanted to say something, but Aunt Hongxiu had already noticed that something was wrong. She hurriedly said to Yi Jioga, "Eldest Miss, noble consort, she is still waiting for you. You must not miss the time to enter the palace." That's right. Yi Jioga finally sobered up a bit. Since that's the case, then little Sister Jioga should enter the palace first. We'll talk when we have time. Su Junqing felt that it was a bit of a pity. If they met somewhere else, he could spend more time consolidating the effects of the bewitching technique. Yi Jioga reluctantly smiled at Su Junqing before walking into the palace with Aunt Hongxiu. "Eldest Miss, when did you become so good with young Master Su?" Aunt Hongxiu pulled Yi Jioga to a corner and asked as soon as they entered the palace. "No, I just feel that he's not bad. He's not the same type of person as Su Yufeng. I misunderstood him in the past." Yi Jioga said disapprovingly. "His surname is Su. How could he not be the same type of person as Su Yufeng? Didn't you hate him before? Why did you suddenly change?" It can't be that you saw that he was handsome and you were smitten. Aunt Hong Xiu could understand the feelings of young girls who loved handsome men, but the cute Su Junqing absolutely could not. What are you thinking? If I'm a man who loves handsome men, then I should love Zishang. Thinking of this, Yi Jiuge also felt that something was wrong. Su Junqing, this pervert, kidnapped Yu Rui, betrayed Yi Yunji, and even used the blood of virgins to practice. How could he think that he was not bad? Idiot, you've fallen for his bewitching technique. Zishang's cold voice sounded. How is that possible? Yi Jiuge really didn't feel anything at all. This kid is talented in the bewitching technique. He's already at the second stage. It's normal for you to fall for it when you're caught off guard. Zishang said lightly. Then why didn't you warn me? Did you live in my body for nothing? Do you want to blame others for your own stupidity? Zishang deliberately didn't warn him. If she didn't let this idiot fall for it once, she wouldn't know she was wrong. Yi Jiuge was in the wrong and didn't dare to argue with Zishang anymore. She took out the pill bottle and swallowed 2 clear heart pills. Eldest miss, what are you doing? Aunt Hong Xiu looked at Yi Jiuge strangely. What's wrong with taking pills at the slightest disagreement? Don't talk. Hurry up and eat too. Yi Jiuge also poured 2 clear heart pills into Aunt Hong Xiu's mouth. Then he said in a low voice, that Su Junqing just used an evil technique on me. That's why I suddenly felt that he's not bad. Fortunately, Aunt reminded me in time. Otherwise, I would have fallen for it. Chapter 134. I see. Eldest miss, you have to be more careful in the future. Aunt Hong Xiu was terrified when she thought of the little girls in the capital who would die for Su Junqing. She didn't want Yi Jiuge to become one of them. It's fine. I'll just take the medicine in advance when I see him in the future. Yi Jiuge shook the jade bottle in his hand. As a spirit alchemist, he had a lot of pills. That's good. Aunt Hong Xiu was very confident in Yi Jiuge's alchemy skills. Let's go. Don't let Her Highness wait for too long. When Yi Jiuge and Aunt Hong Xiu arrived at Splendid Palace, she thought they had come to the wrong place. The last time she entered the palace, Splendid Palace still looked old and defeated. Now it was magnificent. Beautiful flowers were placed on both sides of the road. There was even a peach blossom forest that wasn't there before. As expected of the 6 palaces, Nanny Zhou was waiting at the door. When she saw Yi Jiuge from afar, she greeted him with a smile. Eldest miss, you're finally here. Her Highness was talking about you. Nanny Zhou, long time no see. Yi Jiuge smiled at Nanny Zhou and walked into the gorgeous Splendid Palace with her. Imperial consort, she was wearing a rust-red bright gold crab claw chrysanthemum palace dress. In the middle of her high bun was a phoenix spreading its wings. It was inlaid with jade and 7 jewels. On the side was a golden phoenix holding a pearl and a golden wing hairpin. She was peerless and dignified, showing the majesty of a beloved consort. Jiuge's here. Imperial consort, she smiled and stood up. She personally came over to hold Yi Jiuge's hand. Her sharp aura had completely disappeared. She was as intimate as when they were in the Dongling Wangfu. Her Highness, eldest miss also brought you a gift. Aunt Hong Xiu put the mahogany box she had been holding on the table. Why did you bring something when you came? Aren't you alienating me? Imperial consort, she was annoyed. It's not anything expensive. It's just some henna and fragrance powder I made myself. Yi Jiuge opened the mahogany box and took out the white porcelain bowl inside. Jiuge really understands me. I don't dare to use the things in the palace. I was just worrying about where to buy them. Imperial consort, she said in surprise. Her Highness, see if you like it. Yi Jiuge opened all the bottles. Noble consort, she's skin was very white, and 2 bright colors would make her look vulgar. Therefore, she made a set of all kinds of fresh and natural colors, from light to dark, and let noble consort she choose freely. First miss is really considerate. I have never seen such a beautiful nail flower. Nanny Zhou praised sincerely. It is indeed beautiful. I like it very much. After looking at them one by one, Noble consort, she chose the lightest pink and couldn't wait to let Nanny Zhou dye it for her. This color really complemented her fingers, making them look even more white and tender. Alright, Your Highness, I heard from Big Brother that you were poisoned by the Empress as soon as you returned to the palace. May I know what happened? Not only did I humiliate that evil woman, but I also cut off her arm. Imperial consort, she proudly recounted what happened. It turned out that on the second day after she returned to the palace, the emperor held a banquet in the inner palace to welcome her. She had been eating well before, but she suddenly felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. After careful investigation, she found that there was something wrong with the wine. Speaking of this, Imperial consort, she suddenly revealed a mysterious smile and asked Yi Jiuge, "Do you know what I did with the poisoned wine in the end?" Yi Jiuge thought for a moment and guessed, "You poured the poisoned wine away?" "No, guess again." Imperial consort, she shook her head. Yi Jiuge guessed a few times but didn't get it right, so he said helplessly, "Your Highness, don't keep me in suspense." Only then did Imperial consort, she slowly say, "I gave the poisoned wine to someone else to drink." Gave it to someone else? Yi Jiuge froze and looked at Nanny Zhou. Was she asking her to block the bar? Speaking of which, the situation that day really scared this old servant to death. Nanny Zhou sighed and looked at Imperial consort. "Your Highness, you are too bold. You actually gave the poisoned wine to the emperor to drink." What? Gave the emperor the poisoned wine to drink? Yi Jiuge looked at Imperial consort in shock. For a moment, he wondered if Imperial consort was crazy. "I'm not crazy." Imperial consort smiled and said, "I wasn't the one who poisoned him. If anything happens to the emperor, it's naturally the one who poisoned him." When the palace maid who poisoned him saw that Imperial consort actually gave the poisoned wine to the emperor to drink, she was so scared that she immediately broke the wine pot. Imperial consort provoked a few words from the side, and the emperor angrily interrogated all the people in charge of the banquet. Although those people didn't expose the empress, the head eunuch who had been in charge of the imperial kitchen for many years was beheaded. Imperial consort took the opportunity to place her own people there. The empress suffered a big loss, but she couldn't say anything. She almost died of anger. "Your Highness is amazing," Yi Jiuge said with admiration. When this woman became ruthless, she was really willing to do anything. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to the poison testing pill you gave me. Otherwise, let alone the empress, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to keep my life. Imperial consort looked at Yi Jiuge gratefully. Yes, this servant and Nanny Zhou also escaped the empress's evil hands thanks to eldest Mississippi. The reason why Aunt Hong Xiu was so respectful to Yi Jiuge was because of this. It's okay. If you guys eat well, I'll go back and ask Brother Bai to send a few more bottles. You can give it to whoever you want, but you must watch them eat it. Don't let this pill fall into the Empress's hands. Otherwise, it will be troublesome. Yi Jiuge said cautiously. Those poison testing pills contained live poisonous earthworms. As long as you pinched it, you would know the truth. Don't worry, other than Nanny Zhou and Hong Xiu, I won't give it to anyone else. Imperial consort smiled faintly. This poison testing pill was her life-saving item. Only Nanny Zhou and Aunt Hong Xiu, who had followed her for most of her life, were qualified to use it. Your Highness, when we entered the palace, we met Su Junqing at the entrance. Why did he enter the palace? Yi Jiuge asked again. It's because that evil woman, the Empress, called him in. She probably wants to find him to harm us. With the poison testing pill, Imperial consort didn't put the Empress in her eyes anymore. Your Highness, it's better to be careful. That Su Junqing's evil arts are quite powerful. Even I almost fell for it just now. Yi Jiuge said solemnly. When you see him in the future, you must take the clear heart pill in advance. Don't worry, Su Junqing won't be able to jump around for long. The Emperor is very concerned about the evil cultivator. In addition to letting the Ministry of Justice handle it, he has also sent many secret guards to investigate. Su Junqing will reveal himself sooner or later. Also, I mentioned the Empress and the Crown Prince in front of the Emperor once, and he became suspicious of them. Imperial consort, she smiled. She couldn't wait for the Empress and Su Junqing to get closer. When Su Junqing's identity as an evil cultivator was exposed, the Empress and the Crown Prince would die without a burial place. Chapter 135. Your Highness, it's better to be safe. Yi Jiuge was worried that Imperial consort she was eager to take revenge. If Emperor Xian noticed something, it would not be worth it. Don't worry, I know what to do. Noble consort, she wasn't in a hurry to take revenge at all because she was enjoying the fact that the Empress didn't like her but couldn't get rid of her. Yi Jiuge chatted with noble consort she for a while, and seeing that it was getting late, he excused himself with the excuse of preparing for the alchemy competition. Although noble consort she was reluctant, she didn't want to delay Yi Jiuge's business, so she asked Aunt Hong Xiu to send Yi Jiuge back. Not only did he give her a cart full of good stuff, he even gave her a place in the alchemy competition. Yi Jiuge toyed with the red token that represented his advancement as he walked toward Purple Forest Park. Although she couldn't use this token, she still appreciated noble consort Xi's good intentions. Young Miss, Master invites you to the study. Pine Cypress stood at the entrance of Purple Forest Park. It looked like he had been waiting for a long time. Father, why are you looking for me? Yi Jiuge hadn't seen Yi Yuxuan in a while. Master said he has something important to discuss with you, but I don't know the specifics. Songbai replied respectfully. Got it? I'll be there in a bit. Yi Jiuge waved his hand. Yes. Pine Cypress bowed and left. Just as Yi Jiuge entered the house, Mother Qing welcomed her and said, Eldest Miss, Master wants to talk to you about the alchemy competition. During this time, Mother Qing had bribed an informant in the main courtyard, so she was much more well-informed than before. Alchemy competition? Yi Jiuge raised her eyebrows. She couldn't understand why Yi Yuxuan would ask her about this. By the way, First Miss, I heard that Second Miss is determined to win this alchemy competition. During this time, she and the Crown Prince are very close. The Crown Prince also sent a lot of alchemy materials. These were the news that Pearl inquired. The Crown Prince sure knows how to win people over. Yi Jiuge couldn't help but laugh. Win over my ass. Fortunately, the young miss woke up early and broke off the engagement with this scumbag. Mother Qing said disdainfully. When Su Yufeng was chased to the ancestral temple, Yi Xianxia was grounded. The Crown Prince sent a palace maid over to take a look, but there was no further news. Now that the alchemy competition was going to be held, the Crown Prince found that Yi Xianxia was worth a lot of money, so he became more active. This kind of two-faced man was really a scumbag. Yi Jiuge nodded in agreement. Madame Qing helped Yi Jiuge tidy up her appearance and said, Eldest Miss, you should go quickly so that Master won't get angry again. Yi Jiuge brought Pearl to the main courtyard, then entered the study room alone to see Yuxuan. Where did you go today? Why are you back so late? Yi Yuxuan said unhappily. Noble consort, she summoned me to the palace, so I came back late. Yi Jiuge replied indifferently. Noble consort, she summoned you to the palace. How come I didn't know about this? Yi Yuxuan was shocked and angry at the same time. You didn't even tell me about such a big thing. Do you still have me as your father in your eyes? Of course not. Ever since Yi Yuxuan had tacitly agreed to let old master Su make a move on her, she had hated Yi Yuxuan, this hypocritical fellow. If it wasn't for the fact that the title of patricide wasn't pleasant to hear, she really wanted to get rid of this scumbag of a father. Yi Jiuge suppressed her anger and coldly said to Yi Yuxuan, If you're looking for me to talk about this, then there's no need. With that, she stood up and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Yi Yuxuan shouted at Yi Jiuge and quickly said, This pill refining competition will be held in the medicine refining valley. You three sisters must help each other when you go out. You are the eldest sister, so you must take good care of your two younger sisters. I will naturally take care of fourth sister, but second sister, you should find someone else. Asking her to take care of Yi Xianxia, what kind of joke was this? It was already kind enough that she didn't find a ditch to drown Yi Xianxia. What kind of attitude is this? Yi Yuxuan slammed the table and scolded, I know you are unhappy because of the Su family, but when you go out, you sisters represent the Yi family's face. I don't care what conflicts you have at home, but when you go out, you must unite and help each other. Puchi. Yi Jioga suddenly laughed. What are you laughing at? Yi Yuxuan asked angrily. So father also knows that when we go out, we represent the Yi family's face. I thought that we represent the Su family's face. Yi Jioga laughed. What nonsense are you talking about? The Su family is the Su family, and the Yi family is the Yi family. How can you talk about them together? Yi Yuxuan said with a black face. Father says one thing, but he does another. At that time, old man Su brought the Su family's guards and aggressively shouted at her to kill. He wanted to kneel down and slap her. Yi Yuxuan just watched from the side, as if he respected old man Su. Now, he still had the face to tell her that the Su family was the Su family, and the Yi family was the Yi family. This face was really disgusting. Yi Yuxuan's face couldn't hold it anymore, and said angrily, Old man Su is your elder. He's already so old, so what if you let him have a little? Let him beat me to death? Yi Jioga's tone was as cold as ice. He's just saying it, he won't really make a move. On the other hand, you're so young, but your temper is so fierce. You actually killed all the Su family's guards in one move, angering old man Su so much that he fainted when he got back. He still hasn't woken up yet. If I didn't speak up for you, the Su family would have taken him to the Ministry of Justice. As Yi Yuxuan finished speaking, he became more and more confident. He looked as if the reason why you can sit here and talk to me is because I'm protecting you. Is that so? If you have the ability, then let the Su family come and take me to the Ministry of Justice. I want to see who will be punished. Yi Jioga sneered. Did he think that she was scared? So what if she killed the Su family's guards? Who told them to come to the Yi family to commit murder? No matter what, she was the one in the right. All right, I've only said a few words, and you're acting like you're in deep hatred again. Yi Yuxuan looked at Yi Jioga's face and said impatiently. Although this face was similar to Yun Jiaojiao's, her personality was the complete opposite. Yun Jiaojiao had a gentle personality and was obedient to him. She never disobeyed his wishes. Yi Jioga's personality was unyielding, like a raging fire. She could jump out with 10 sentences when he said one sentence. Every sentence was like a spark that could burn a scar on a person's body. Father, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Yi Jioga didn't want to listen to Yi Yuxuan's nonsense anymore. What about the alchemy competition? Yi Yuxuan asked, unwilling to give up. Father, don't worry. I'll definitely take good care of second sister. A trace of killing intent flashed across Yi Jioga's face. Yi Yuxuan cried and begged her to take care of Yi Xianxia. If she didn't agree, wouldn't he be very disappointed? Chapter 136. Yi Jioga, I'll say it again. No matter how you fight at home, you're all surnamed Yi. Go out and give me... Before Yi Yuxuan could finish speaking, Yi Jioga had already left. He was so angry that he threw the teacup on the table to the ground. This rebellious girl really angered him to death. Yi Yuxuan took a few heavy breaths before he went to the ink garden. When Su Yufeng saw Yi Yuxuan, she immediately asked, Master, what did Jioga say? What else can I say? Of course I don't want to, Yi Yuxuan said snappily. He knew that with Yi Jioga's bad temper, he wouldn't agree. However, Su Yufeng did not believe him and insisted that he give it a try. Jioga, that child, why doesn't she know that lips and teeth depend on each other? Which family doesn't have conflicts with each other? But when you go out, others will think that you are a family. If a family doesn't help each other, how can others look up to you? Su Yufeng said resentfully. Ever since Gong Shifan stood up for Yi Jioga, she had always wanted to rope in the Gong family. But by the time she inquired about Gong Shifan's address, he had already left. She heard that the Gong family would be sending people over for the alchemy competition, so she wanted Yi Jioga to bring her daughter to visit the Gong family. With his daughter's character, appearance, and aptitude, she would definitely impress the Gong family. Alright, what's the use of saying this now? You should keep Xianxia away from that rebellious girl, so as not to be harmed by her. Yi Yuxuan thought of Yi Jiuge's gaze just now and felt a bit stifled in his heart. Yes. Su Yufeng nodded her head perfunctorily. Since Yi Jiuge's path wasn't going to work, she could only start with Yi Rui. It seemed that he would have to let Xianxian visit Yao Guang Garden some other day and properly rope in Yi Rui, that little maid. At this time, Yi Jiuge was talking to Yi Rui about the pill refining competition. This time, when we go to the alchemy competition together, Yi Xianxian will definitely try to rope you in. This mother and daughter pair are extremely thick-skinned, you have to be careful. To be honest, Yi Jiuge admired Su Yufeng and her daughter. There were such strange people in this world. I stabbed you a few times but you didn't die, yet you still have the cheek to say that I spared your life on purpose. You should be grateful that you didn't die. I don't want to talk to her. Yi Rui pulled a long face and her eyes were filled with hatred. Rui, she is your second sister after all. If you don't give her face in front of outsiders, I'm afraid that others will say that you are wrong. Fifth Yang knew that gossip was a fearful thing. I don't care what others say. Yi Rui's face was taut with anger. She would rather be criticized to death than be close to Yi Xianxian. Don't be afraid, I'm here. No matter who he was in front of, Yi Jiuge didn't plan to give Yi Xianxian face. Yi Rui nodded her head vigorously. She knew that big sister would definitely stand on her side. Yi Jiuge then tested Yi Rui's homework. Seeing that her knowledge of alchemy was very solid, he felt relieved and returned to Purple Forest Park. Eldest miss, what did master say to you? Mother Qing brought a cup of hot tea over. She was most worried that master would get angry at eldest miss again. Nothing much, just a bunch of nonsense. After Yi Jiuge sat down, he slowly drank a mouthful of tea and asked, I heard that you brought Hua Dai and Yu Dai to open their bones. Did it go smoothly? It went very smoothly. Hua Dai and Yu Dai both have grade 7 spirit bones. The bone opening medicine that eldest miss gave us is indeed powerful. Mother Qing said excitedly. One must know that bone roots were also divided into high, middle, and low grades. Grade 9 to grade 7 was high grade, grade 6 to grade 4 was intermediate grade, and grade 3 to grade 1 was low grade. With Hua Dai and Yu Dai's aptitude, if they were to use normal bone opening medicine, they would at most be intermediate grade. Not bad, a grade 7 spirit bone's cultivation speed is very fast. If they encounter some great opportunity, they might even be able to improve further. When Yi Jiuge touched the bones, he already knew the result. Eldest miss can just bring them to participate in the alchemy competition. Although the two servant girls' bone roots were not bad, they were not spirit practitioners after all, so they couldn't reach the style that she wanted. Sigh, if the old master was still here, he would definitely be able to find servant girls with spirit roots to serve eldest Mississippi. Hua Dai and Yu Dai are already very good. Yi Jiuge didn't think that having spiritualists as maids would make them superior. After she put down the teacup, she walked towards the alchemy room, preparing to refine some higher-grade tranquil heart pills, lest she fell into Su Juanqing's trap again. Your ordinary clear heart pills are useless against Su Juanqing's bewitching art. The purple deceased sword gradually revealed itself. It wrapped its tail tightly around Yi Jiuge and said coldly, Today, Su Juanqing made a move at the last minute to awaken you. If he had made his move after making his move, it would not have been so easy for you to escape. Then what pill is useful? Yi Jiuge frowned. If she had known that Su Juanqing would become so powerful after eating Su Hansen, she definitely would not have let Wan Xiang and Yu find trouble with Su Hansen. At least a third-stage clear heart pill, Zishang said. Only a level 3 alchemist can refine it. I'm only at level 2 right now. There's still a long way to go before I reach level 3. Yi Jiuge frowned. It had been less than a year since her meridians were restored, and it was already not bad for her to be promoted to a Tier 2 pill master. If he wanted to advance to rank 3, he still needed to accumulate a certain amount of energy. But now that Su Juanqing was eyeing her covetously, he could not wait for her to advance. You don't need a level 3 pill master to refine it. Xianxia said as he sniffed Yijioga's hair. How do I refine it? Yijioga was tickled by the hot breath that Xianxia breathed out and could not help but turn her head. Ever since she was punished by Xianxia for her smelly head, she washed her hair every day. She even specially used purple smoke flower to refine the honey horn to ensure that the fragrance would last forever. If you beg this sovereign will be merciful and tell you. Xianxia looked dignified on the surface, but unfortunately, the tip of his coquettish tail was slowly moving up Yijioga's thigh. Yijioga gritted her teeth and pressed down on the tip of his coquettish tail. Then, she revealed a pitiful expression and used her most artificial voice to say, Great King Xianxia, please tell baby. Good baby. Xianxia rubbed Yijioga's dog head in satisfaction and said mercifully, If I use spiritual fire to burn your small broken cauldron, I will be able to refine a third-stage pill. The spiritual fire that you are talking about, are you referring to the flames that are formed from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth? Yijioga blinked her watery eyes and asked. That's right. Xianxia stretched out his hand to play with Yijioga's earlobe. Yijioga did not move and asked again. The red lotus lightning fire that I transformed from the sacred wood tree core was also spiritual fire, right? Of course, but this sovereign does not know where the red lotus lightning fire is. If he knew, he would have long gone to collect it for fun. Then what's the point of saying so much? Yijioga immediately turned hostile and slapped Xianxia's hand away. Spiritual fire is so hard to find. She might as well cultivate and advance as soon as possible. Chapter 137. Little dummy. Although I can't find the red lotus thunder fire, there are a lot of other little spiritual fires. Xianxia revealed a devilish smile. He pinched Yijioga's cheeks and gently pulled them apart. Then he lifted them up as if he was kneading dough. Yijioga was angry, but she didn't dare to say anything. In order to get the spiritual fire, she put down her pride and shouted flatteringly, Xianxia, great king, please take me to find the spiritual fire. Compared to the spiritual fire, dignity was nothing. It would not be a problem to call him daddy, much less king. Good boy. Xianxia rubbed Yijioga's head in satisfaction. Then he waved at the fat black rat that was curled up in a corner. Pippi! The fat black rat immediately scurried over and placed its paws on its chest, looking at Xianxia with a fawning expression. He didn't know how Xianxia and the fat black rat communicated. The fat black rat's furry face was full of seriousness. Finally, it raised its right paw, nodded and shouted, Pippi! What are you guys being naughty about? Yijioga couldn't help but ask. Follow it, it will bring you to find the spiritual fire. After Xianxia said this, he returned to Yijioga's imprint. Black fatty, where's the spiritual fire? Yijioga looked at the fat black rat with a burning gaze. Pippi! The fat black rat waved its fat paw and turned into a stream of light as it ran outside. Yijioga followed the fat black rat out of Shangjing and ran all the way to a deep forest 300 miles away. She almost died of exhaustion. Fatty Black, are you sure there really is a heaven-earth spirit flame in this damn place? Yijioga wiped the sweat off his forehead as he looked at the desolate valley in front of him. As long as it was a place where the fire seed was born, it would definitely be a place with abundant spiritual energy. But on this lousy mountain, overgrown trees and vines were everywhere. Rotten leaves covered the entire valley, and the air was damp with the smell of decay. If she hadn't taken the antidote pill, she would have fainted after a few steps. Pippi! The fat black rat nodded. Its small black eyes looked around, and its big ears swayed. Then, it scurried towards the west. Yijioga's eyes lit up and he immediately followed. The fat black rat's body was like lightning as it dashed towards the depths of the valley. Yijioga followed behind it, stepping on the muddy ground and rushing to the bottom of the cliff. Soon he saw a dark pool. It covered an area of about 1 mu, which was smaller than the pond in the demonic beast forest, but it was still bottomless. Yijioga felt his scalp go numb when he saw the black color in the depths of the pool. The fat black rat jumped into the pool gracefully. Then, it stuck out its fat belly and flopped comfortably in the water. Don't tell me you came here to take a bath. Yi Jioga threw a weed stuck to his hair at the fat black rat. Pai Pai Chan. The fat black rat retorted in dissatisfaction. Then, it stuck out its fat butt and dived into the pool. Hey, wait, give me a blue stone first. Yi Jioga patted the surface of the water to call the fat black rat. Although she knew how to hold her breath, if the water was as deep as the last time, she would suffocate to death without the blue stone. Unfortunately, the fat black rat did not respond. It was as if it had already run far away. Yi Jioga frowned as he looked at the dark pool. He silently pondered whether he should go down to investigate the situation or wait here for the fat black rat to return. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and catch up. Zishang's voice fell. Yi Jioga's butt hurt. Her body involuntarily fell into the pool and she almost choked to death. She awkwardly floated to the surface. Wiping the water droplets off her face, she scolded the mark on her hand. Are you crazy? He actually dared to kick her into the water. I did it for your own good. Zishang's voice was lazy, without a hint of remorse. Thank you, but I don't need it. You can keep it for yourself. Yi Jioga spat at the mark and swam towards the shore. Treasures don't wait for people. If you don't follow me, forget about the spiritual fire, even that fat black rat will run away. Zishang said coldly. If it runs, then it runs. Who cares? Although Yi Jioga said that, she was still reluctant to let go of the fat black rat that she could refine into Dan poison. After thinking for a while, she held her breath and dived towards the bottom of the pool. As she dived, she found that this pool was even colder than the lake in the demonic beast forest. The strangest thing was that there were no fish swimming in this pool. Logically speaking, there should be a lot of fish living in this deep mountain pool where no one hunted. Unless something had eaten all the creatures in the pool. Her heart skipped a beat. She felt uneasy for some reason. The air in her lungs was getting thinner and thinner. If she dived any further, it would be very dangerous. Although the spiritual fire was important, her life was even more important. Yi Jioga decisively turned around and wanted to return to the shore. At this moment, a dangerous aura suddenly came from the dark depths of the pool. The water flowed quickly, as if something was quickly approaching her. In the next moment, an ugly and bumpy face with sharp teeth appeared in front of her. It was actually a second-rank demonic beast, the iron skin crocodile. This type of crocodile was extremely savage. There would be no living creatures in the waters where it was. The iron skin on its body was indestructible. Its hard and sharp teeth could bite through rocks. It could be said to be the overlord of the water. Yi Jioga was a dragon on the shore but a worm underwater. There was no way she could fight against this iron skin crocodile. However, in this situation she couldn't run away. She could only face it head-on. Yi Jioga took out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from her waist and infused it with spiritual energy to whip the crocodile. Although the Thunder Snake illusionary whip turned into purple lightning in the water, it still accurately landed on the iron skin crocodile. The iron skin crocodile trembled in pain. Its eyes revealed a fierce glint. It swung its thick tail and pounced towards Yi Jioga like an arrow. Yi Jioga whipped the iron skin crocodile's bloody mouth again. Using the rebound force, she slid backwards and dodged this attack. The black skin crocodile felt pain after being hit by the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. It became even more berserk. It opened its mouth and spat out a water column. Yi Jioga felt a dull pain in her chest from the waves. She lost her balance and knew that she couldn't continue fighting with the iron skin crocodile. She had to settle this quickly. Yi Jioga raised the Thunder Snake illusionary whip again and stuck her finger into the snake's head. There were 2 snake teeth inside. Sucking blood could unlock the demon artifact's seal. However, it could only be unlocked once a day. Unlock Thunder Snake Demon Artifact. Yi Jioga muttered in her heart. After sucking blood, the snake's eyes lit up and instantly released a terrifying aura. It was like a starving beast that had been imprisoned for a long time and wanted to devour all living things. The iron skin crocodile originally wanted to swallow Yi Jioga into its stomach. After feeling the bloodthirsty aura from the thunder snake illusionary whip, it swung its tail and wanted to escape. The thunder snake illusionary whip suddenly expanded and turned into a slender silver poisonous snake. In an instant, it pierced through the iron skin crocodile. The iron skin crocodile's body exploded. Blood dyed the entire water. The thunder snake illusionary whip swam in the water and greedily devoured the blood. With the crisis averted, Yijioga relaxed. She found that the oxygen in her lungs was getting less and less. If she couldn't breathe in fresh air, she would suffocate to death. Chapter 138. Little dummy, can't you tell me if you want to transfer chi to me? Xianxia showed up in the water and leisurely swayed his long black snake tail, protecting Yijioga by his side. His jade-like skin emitted a faint light. His originally handsome face was like a mandala in full bloom in the water, beautiful beyond compare. Especially those purple eyes, which shone like the most beautiful crystal, revealing a sharp light that looked down on everything. He was so beautiful that he was like the god of water, illuminating the whole dark and bloody water. Even though Yijioga was used to Xianxia's beauty, she still couldn't help but be fascinated. Do you want it? Xianxia smiled. Of course. Yijioga was about to suffocate to death. How could she care about propriety and shame anymore? She grabbed Xianxia's arm and fiercely bit it. She wanted to stick her tongue in and tie it with his tongue so that he couldn't abandon her. Xianxia was very satisfied with Yijioga's enthusiasm. The long snake tail wrapped around her body tightly, holding her and sinking to the bottom of the water. Xianxia's lips were soft and cool, with a faint fragrance. It was simply irresistible. After Yijioga recovered from the extreme suffocation, she only felt satisfied, dizzy, and weak all over. She actually had a strange pleasure. No wonder some perverts like to play suffocation. It was really special, but she definitely didn't want to try it again. At this time, they had already sunk to the bottom of the water. In front of them was an extremely gloomy water channel with a strange smell. This dark and bottomless water channel should be very scary, but because of Xianxia's beauty, Yijioga completely ignored this gloomy environment. In her eyes, there was only Xianxia's charming purple eyes, straight nose, red lips, and the beautiful and mysterious demon tattoos on his body. Yijioga didn't know that in Xianxia's eyes, she was also like a white lotus that was blooming, beautiful, enchanting, and extremely moving. This water channel was very long. After half an hour, Yijioga began to suffocate again and had to go to Xianxia for help. Their bodies were entangled, one up and one down, rising and falling in the water, with indescribable ambiguity. The originally simple transfer of qi gradually became a little strange. Yijioga could clearly feel that Xianxia was flirting with her. At first, the soft tongue of the snake only swept across her sensitive upper jaw tentatively. Sensing that she didn't avoid it, he began to be bold and unbridled, inviting her little tongue to wander. Yijioga actually refused to mess around in the water. What if he was accidentally sucked dry by the purple deceased sword? However, she was unable to withstand Xianxia's experience. He messed around with the flow of qi and the breathing of qi, causing her to be confused and lost in love. She didn't even know when she had left the bottom of the lake. With a crash, Yijioga finally woke up. She pushed away the purple deceased sword that was tightly wrapped around her body. Only then did she realize that she had come to a strange cave. In front of her eyes were piles of white beast bones. A gust of cold wind blew through the gloomy cave, bringing with it a moldy stench that made one's hair stand on end. If you're afraid, then hold on to me tightly. Xianxia expressed that his embrace would always be open for her. Tisk, big sister has seen more bones than salt, what's there to be afraid of? She was just a little surprised. Yijioga glanced around and found the fat black rat lying in a corner. He struggled free from Xianxia's embrace and went ashore. He saw the fat black rat lying on top of an unremarkable white bone in enjoyment. This white bone was only as long as an adult's arm. Compared to the sinister and tall white bones around it, It was extremely ordinary. There was nothing eye-catching about it. "Fatty Black, what are you lying here for?" Yi Jioga picked up the fat black rat and asked. The fat black rat ignored Yi Jioga and looked at the purple deceased sword that was slowly moving over. Its fat paw pointed at the white bone and shouted like it was presenting a treasure, "Pippi!" The purple deceased sword's cold purple eyes swept across the white bone and said indifferently, "Not bad." Yi Jioga's heart moved. Something that could attract the purple deceased sword's attention was definitely not an ordinary item. She opened her spiritual eye and carefully observed the white bone. She discovered that there was something that was flickering like a flame. "There's hope." Yi Jioga imbued her lightning snake illusionary whip with her spiritual energy and pierced towards the white bone. A wisp of cold white ghost flame came out from the cut. It was actually a third-grade ghost flame, white bone flame. Even though this ghost flame's grade was not high, it had its own unique points that yang flames could not compare to. The ghost flame was born from a 1,000-year-old pile of white bones. It could absorb all kinds of resentment, yin qi and ghost qi. Its unique yin qi attack was extremely terrifying. Those that were burned by the ghost flame would fall sick as if they were possessed by a ghost. Other than that, this ghost flame could be used to refine all kinds of yin spiritual pills and ghost spiritual pills. It would have an extremely strong effect. For an assassin like Yi Yu who was hiding in the dark, if he could use these yin pills to cultivate, his cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. Most importantly, the white bone flame could be upgraded. If it could be upgraded into the netherworld ghost flame, it would become an existence that was not inferior to the red lotus lightning fire. At that time, he would have the red lotus on his left, the netherworld on his right, and the lightning fire in the middle. How cool would that be? Even though the process of upgrading the white bone flame was extremely long as there was hope, there was nothing to be afraid of. "I can absorb this flame right." Yi Jioga looked at the burning white ghost flame excitedly. "Of course, you can absorb it here." Xianxia stood behind Yi Jioga to protect her. Yi Jioga suppressed the ecstasy in her heart. Her hands formed a spiritual attraction technique and was about to absorb the white bone flame. The white bone flame had stayed here for thousands of years. How could it be willing to be absorbed by someone? It turned around and wanted to escape. "Come here." Yi Jioga shot out a spiritual light and forcefully absorbed it into her body. After Yi Jioga absorbed the white bone flame, her expression became even more serious. Absorbing it was only the first step. Taming it was the most important step. Yi Jioga began to use her spiritual energy to absorb the white bone flame. The white bone flame was still obedient at the beginning. It followed Yi Jioga's spiritual energy to her dantian. Next, she only needed to leave her divine sense imprint on the white bone flame to complete the taming process. At this moment, the white bone flame suddenly exploded with a bang. An incomparably cold yin qi burst out and quickly spread along the meridians in Yi Jioga's body. Yi Jioga hurriedly increased the strength of the suppression. The white bone flame also felt the danger. The flame rapidly swallowed and spat out waves of cold yin qi. Yi Jioga's spiritual energy was greatly consumed by the white bone flame struggle. At this speed, her spiritual energy would soon be completely exhausted. At that time, the white bone flame would lose its suppression. It would start to burn from within her body and directly burn her to ashes. Yi Jioga could not help but shiver. She was in a trance. Suddenly, layers upon layers of ghost shadows appeared in front of her. A cold wind blew and 10,000 ghosts cried. The door to the yellow springs slowly opened. Countless ghost claws grabbed Yi Jioga's ankle and pulled her towards the yellow springs. Yi Jioga felt her scalp go numb. She could not help but scream. Chapter 139. Xianxia looked on coldly from the side. He had no intention of making a move. If he couldn't even subdue this small white bone flame, then there was no way he could subdue the red lotus lightning fire. When Yi Jioga sensed Xianxia's disdain, he immediately sobered up and the evil fire in his heart flared up. It was fine if Xianxia bullied her. You little wildfire dare to behave atrociously in front of me? Do you really think I'm a sick cat? Yi Jioge mobilized all of his spiritual energy. Inside his body, a silvery white mini lightning snake phantom whip was formed. The little thunder snake illusionary whip opened its mouth wide and was filled with killing intent. It was ferocious and greedy, like a vicious beast released from the abyss. It wanted to devour everything and be quiet. If you don't listen to me, I'll eat you. Yi Jioge's ruthless killing intent was transmitted to the white bone flame through the thunder snake illusionary whip without any obstruction. She already had a disobedient demonic weapon, the thunder snake mirage whip, so she didn't want to get another disobedient spiritual fire. After the white bone flame felt Yi Jioge's killing intent, it immediately shrunk into the shape of a small skeleton, hugging its knees and shivering in its dantian. Like a child being threatened by a bully. Yi Jioge knew that this was a sign of the white bone flame submitting to her, so she took the opportunity to place a divine sense imprint on the white bone flame. After successfully subduing the white bone fire, the extremely cold Yin power just now turned into pure spiritual power, directly allowing her to advance from a rudimentary spiritualist to an intermediate spiritualist. It was indeed a treasure. Yi Jioge was delighted and stretched out her index finger. A wisp of eerie white flame rose, illuminating her face with a very strange sense of beauty. It was like a white lotus flower blooming in a pool of blood filled with white bones. The extreme black revealed the extreme white. This kind of beauty was even more holy and beautiful than that of a fairy from the ninth heaven. It could simply shake one's soul. Yi Jioge didn't know that he was walking further and further down the path of the white lotus. After she kept the white bone flame, she carefully inspected the white bone cave. Apart from a pile of iron skin crocodile bones, there was nothing else. It seemed that this cave was the burial chamber of the iron skin crocodile. Every iron-skinned crocodile who was ready to die would come here to rest in peace. If that was the case, there would soon be new iron-skin crocodiles guarding the tomb. Thinking of this, Yi Jioge couldn't wait to leave. At this time, the thunder snake illusionary whip suddenly broke free from Yi Jioge's grasp. It transformed into a giant python, opened its mouth, and swallowed all the bones in the tomb. What's going on? Yi Jioge turned to ask Zishang. You eat meat but can't it drink soup? Zishang wrapped itself around Yi Jioge and rested its chin on her head as if it had no bones. You mean it's repairing itself? Yi Jioge's eyes lit up. After the thunder snake demonic artifact recognizes its master, it has the ability to repair itself. The white bones here can condense spirit fire and contain a lot of spirit force. It can repair the thunder snake illusionary whip's damaged parts. As Zishang explained, he tapped Yi Jioge's head with his chin. Although Yi Jioge's head was hurting from Zishang's pointed chin, when he heard that the lightning snake illusionary whip was about to advance, he was still grinning from ear to ear. No wonder spiritualists love to hunt for treasures. It's a profitable business indeed. This time, not only did she manage to subdue the white bone flame and successfully advance, she could also repair the demon artifact at the same time. What a great deal! After the lightning snake illusionary whip devoured all of the white bones, it returned to Yi Jioge's hand. The color of the snake scales on its body became more and more exquisite. It faintly looked like a fourth segment was growing, and it looked even more spiritual. Yi Jioge rubbed it twice in satisfaction and wrapped the lightning snake illusionary whip back around his waist. At this time, the fat black rat shouted in dissatisfaction, "Pie pie! You guys eat meat and drink soup, what about me? Say it, what do you want?" Yi Jioge was in a good mood. She knew that it was the fat black rat's credit that they were able to find the white bone flame this time. Naturally, she had to reward it. "Pie pie!" The fat black rat revealed its sharp white teeth at Yi Jioge's finger. Then, it bit its little paw and made a sucking expression. "You want to suck my blood?" Yi Jioge instantly understood. She didn't expect her blood to be so awesome that even the fat black rat coveted it. "Pai Pai-chan." The fat black rat nodded and blinked its big eyes, revealing a flattering expression. Before Yi Jioge could reply, a fierce and terrifying aura burst forth. daring to touch this sovereign's person, you have guts. Zishang raised his hand, and an invisible force grabbed the fat black rat and lifted it into the air. Pai pai. The fat black rat was so scared that it stuffed its 2 fat paws into its mouth. With its big eyes filled with tears, it looked at Yi Jioge pitifully. That's enough. What's so heroic about scaring a fat mouse? Besides, it wants my blood, not yours. Yi Jioge patted Zishang's arm. She still needed this fat black rat to help her purify the pill poison. What if I scare it away? Zishang narrowed his eyes and looked at Yi Jioge. He did not put down the fat black rat. Instead, he asked with a threatening tone, "Do you still want to suck her blood?" Pai 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 pai. The fat black rat shook its head with all its might. Only then did Zishang put down the fat black rat. The fat black rat ran back into Yi Jioge's bag. Yi Jioge lightly patted the fat black rat's position and said to herself, "It's okay, when Zishang falls asleep, Big Sister will secretly feed you. I'm warning you, you better not have this idea." Zishang narrowed his purple eyes and said coldly, "This spirit rat's origin is unknown. Before we find out its background, you better not get too close to it. It's just a fat black rat. What's there to worry about?" Yi Jioge felt that Zishang was making a big fuss over a minor issue. This fat black rat was so weak. It did not have any attack power. What kind of storm could it cause? Don't forget the agreement between us. Every drop of blood on your body belongs to me. If you dare to act rashly, don't blame me for being impolite. Seeing that Yi Jioge still had a disapproving expression, Zishang's eyes flashed with a dangerous light. He hugged her and pressed her down on his lower abdomen. The taste of punishment was self-evident. Yi Jioge could clearly feel 2 bulging bulges pushing against her from behind. At this time, she remembered a legend. The snake seemed to have 2 big sticks. Yi Jioge's scalp instantly went numb. She hurriedly promised, "I won't move. I won't move." "You really won't move?" Zishang exhaled, but his voice was filled with regret. "I really won't move. So quickly take back your 2 evil sticks." Zishang's red lips hooked up. He slowly let go of Yi Jioge. Actually, he did not want to do anything to Yi Jioge in this damned place. He was only teasing her. But Yi Jioge, this idiot, was too stubborn. He could only use this kind of method to threaten her. Yi Jioge secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She did not want to stay in this damned place for another second. She also did not want to go back with Zishang. Thus, she took out the fat black rat and said, "Do you still have those blue stones from last time? Give me one." Chapter 140. The fat black rat looked at Zishang. Seeing that he didn't object, it took out a blue stone from its small animal skin bag and threw it to Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge ate the blue stone and said to Zishang, "Let's go." Zishang didn't say anything and went into the water with Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge was eager to go back and return to the shore at a faster speed than when he came. After Zishang followed Yi Jioge to the shore, he gently patted her head and said, "Get the spirit fire and go back to concoct pills." Yi Jioge didn't dare to provoke the stick snake and obediently nodded. Zishang then returned to the imprint with satisfaction. Yi Jioge heaved a sigh of relief and rejoiced in her heart. Luckily, Zishang's demon power hadn't recovered yet and the time he could spend every day was limited. If he could appear and follow her for 24 hours, it would become her nightmare. Zishang was preparing to cultivate in Yi Jioge's imprint and couldn't help but smile when he read Yi Jioge's thoughts. Since Yi Jioge was looking forward to him following her like a shadow, he couldn't let little dummy down. Yi Jioge still didn't know her nightmare was coming. She couldn't wait to return to Purple Forest Park and prepare to concoct external pills. Not long after Yi Jioge left the deep pond, a pink figure appeared in front of the deep pond. A faint smell of blood emitted from her body. The wild beasts in the surrounding valley heard the smell and came over but were destroyed by her hand, turning into a ball of blood in her hand. "Little baby, quickly take me to find the spirit fire after drinking the blood." The pink girl smiled sweetly. She was the female disciple of bloodthirsty sect, Lu Yunfei. She held a purple scorpion the size of a palm in her hand. After swallowing the ball of blood, her long tail pointed towards the bottom of the pond. So it's at the bottom of the pond. I didn't expect a place like Shangjing to have a spirit fire. Lu Yunfei smiled with satisfaction. After she left the Blood Cloud Peak, she quickly rushed to the Shangjing. Originally, she wanted to directly find Su Junqing to understand the situation. She didn't expect that when she passed by the vicinity, her treasure-seeking scorpion suddenly moved and brought her all the way here. Lead the way. Lu Yunfei flicked her finger. The treasure-seeking scorpion jumped into the deep pond and swam towards the bottom. Lu Yunfei followed without hesitation. Not long after sinking to the bottom, she smelled a faint smell of blood. Obviously, there was a battle here and it didn't last long. Don't tell me someone got there first. Lu Yunfei's eyes were gloomy. She sped up and followed the treasure-seeking scorpion to an empty cave. Up and down, front and back, left and right, she turned them upside down, but there was nothing but a pile of broken bones. Damn it! Who stole my treasure? Lu Yunfei was so angry that her face turned malevolent. She smashed a hole in the wall with her palm. No, that person shouldn't have gone far. There's still time to catch up. Bring me to the person who took the white bone flame. Lu Yunfei bit her finger and dripped a drop of blood towards the treasure-seeking scorpion. Her blood essence was 10,000 times stronger than that of a beast. A red light flashed on the body of the treasure-seeking scorpion. Its tail moved left and right before finally stopping in the east, which was the direction that Yi Jioge had left. Lu Yunfei jumped back into the deep pool and was about to chase after them when she was stopped by an iron-skinned crocodile that smelled blood. She didn't have time to waste on the iron-skinned crocodile. She raised her hand and threw a ball of blood in the opposite direction. The aroma of the spiritual blood enticed the iron-skinned crocodile to immediately pounce on it. Lu Yunfei quickly returned to the shore. The treasure-seeking scorpion could no longer find traces of Yi Jioge. Although the treasure-seeking scorpion was a spiritual beast, it could only sense the white bone flame within a radius of 10 miles. Damn it, damn it, damn it! Lu Yunfei, who was furious, jumped into the deep pool and tied the iron-skinned crocodile up. She skinned it alive, pulled out its tendons, and trampled it into meat paste. Only then did she relieve the anger in her chest. You caused me to be covered in blood. Lu Yunfei sent the iron-skinned crocodile flying with a kick. She took out a new set of clothes from her cosmos sack and changed into it. Only then did she continue to walk towards Shangjing. Yi Jioge didn't know that an innocent iron-skinned crocodile had been killed because of her. She was preparing to use the white bone flame that she obtained to concoct a third-ranked clear heart pill. Berberine, ice mint, clear mind grass. Yi Jioge threw the ingredients into the small bronze cauldron one by one and summoned the white bone flame to start concocting the pill. Using spiritual fire to concoct pills was indeed different. The small cauldron, which was usually like an old cow pulling a cart, began to revolve at a much faster speed. The impurities of the medicinal herbs were quickly analyzed and turned into a green solution that emitted a faint fragrance. When Yi Jioge was almost done concocting, she called the fat black rat over to help her clear the pill poison. Pippi! The fat black rat didn't even raise its head and called out in a muffled voice. It hugged its small tail and shrunk into a black ball of fur. It had an expression that said, "Don't bother me if I'm in a bad mood." Yi Jioge could understand its gloomy mood. It had painstakingly brought people to search for treasures. Everyone was eating the meat and drinking the soup. It only wanted to drink some blood and was threatened by Zishang. It was no wonder that it was in a bad mood. However, no matter how much Yi Jioge understood the fat black rat's mood, she didn't dare to give her blood to drink. Zishang's 2 big sticks were still a threat to her. Fortunately, the clear heart pill that was concocted using the white bone flame was not bad. Even without the fat black rat's help to clear the pill poison, it was still a second-ranked high-grade spirit pill. After Yi Jioge stored the light green pill in a jade bottle, she left the alchemy room and returned to her room to rest. At this moment, she suddenly felt a faint fluctuation coming from the shadow beside the door. She stopped and said, "Yi Yu, why are you here?" How did eldest miss find me? Yi Yu revealed his figure, his handsome face full of surprise. Ever since he transformed into a shadow assassin, as long as he didn't reveal any flaws, no one would be able to find him. What do you think? Yi Jioga revealed an advanced smile. Yi Yu took a closer look and realized that Yi Jioga had advanced to an intermediate spiritualist. He cupped his hands and said, "Congratulations on your successful advancement, eldest Mississippi. Thank you." Yi Jioga's rose-like lips curled up slightly and she smiled reservedly. Yi Yu felt a little dizzy from Yi Jioga's smile. He didn't know if it was because of the moonlight, but Yi Jioga looked especially beautiful tonight. She was like a fairy in the moonlight, so perfect that she didn't look like a real person. "It's so late, why are you looking for me?" Yi Jioga asked. "There's something I want to report to you." Yi Yu immediately restrained his intoxicated state and said seriously, "Then come in." Yi Jioga turned around and returned to the alchemy room. She called out to Yi Yu, "Sit anywhere you want." Yi Yu glanced at the messy alchemy room and felt that there wasn't even a place to stand, let alone sit. Yi Jioga rudely pushed the things on the stool to a corner and tried to make a clean space. "I'll just stand." Yi Yu quickly stopped Yi Jioga's violent demolition. "Alright." Yi Jioga gave up on tidying up and turned around to ask, "Tell me, what's the matter?" This afternoon, a girl wearing a pink dress went to look for Su Junqing. Yi Yu said with a serious expression, "You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.